From the Tennessee Valley Weather Channel, this is a severe weather alert.
All right, it's currently 12:44 in the afternoon. I'm Fred Gossett here along with the entire weather team in the Tennessee Valley Weather Center. We have our first warning of the afternoon for the main event. This is a severe thunderstorm warning now for just about all of Tishomingo County, Mississippi, and a large part of Hardin County, Tennessee. This goes until 1:30 this afternoon. It also goes back into portions of Prentiss, Alcorn counties in Mississippi, and southern portions of McNairy County in Tennessee. But we're going to focus here on our viewing area counties, in particular in this Tishomingo County in Mississippi, Hardin County in Tennessee. You see the cluster of strong thunderstorms back here with embedded supercellular structures developing back into Prentiss County and Alcorn County. There's potential for 60 to 70 mile per hour straight line winds and quarter-size hail in this as it moves off rapidly to the northeast. And guys, what's the speed on this that we have? 65 miles an hour. So they're really starting to pick up forward motion now and moving quickly. So we're going to do a storm track on here.
I mean, dude, I don't like that one.
Okay. Taylor's going to get the storm track drawn here. We'll talk about general times of arrival over the next 30, maybe 45 minutes or so.
How fast was that,
65.
Kelly? 65.
Yeah, so these are going to be moving quickly. We're talking about Farmington now, Kendrick at 1249, Altitude and Blythe's Chapel at 1250, Glenn, Mississippi at 1250, Indian Springs and Jacinto at 1251, New Site 1253, New Hope 1254, Cairo 1257, Counts at 1257, Pyburn 1258, Pine Flat 1258, Burnsville 1258, Dosky 1259, and Hawkut at 1 o'clock. The stronger part of this band of thunderstorms will stay generally south of downtown Savannah. The polygon is on the south side and the east side of Savannah, all the way up down through Counts and Pyburn and Walnut Grove, down to Iuka, down to Hawkut and Payton, and to Tishomingo in Mississippi. That's a severe thunderstorm warning for 60 to 70 mile per hour winds, but we're starting to see some rotational signatures in that, so we will clear off the track here. And let's go to storm relative velocity because they're fast movers today. I don't want to get that masked with a radial. Let's go back in here, and you do see the shear marker in the skit. It's more of a shear axis type signature at this time, but there is some turbulence that'll have to be watched very carefully. On that reflectivity a minute ago, you noticed the curl in the pattern as well. There may be one or two tornadic circulations trying to develop quickly in that, and that could be a supercell embedded in that line that's trying to develop. And it's not just going to be the supercells that are out cleanly by themselves this afternoon that have the potential for the large, long track tornadoes. If there are supercell and structures embedded in the line as well, those could have large, long track tornadoes as well. So we're going to have to watch this line that we have that's moving off to the northeast. It's not blasting east quickly to mess up the threat here in northwest Alabama or anything like that. We're going to have to watch that carefully, in addition to storms to the south developing over North Mississippi that are starting to get a bit more cellular. We'll zoom out a little farther and look at storms that are down to the south. Looking at Monroe County, Mississippi, we won't go tight, but these cellular type storms here that are lifting northward ahead of this band, those will be coming up into northwest Alabama the next hour or so. And as they deepen and they get stronger, they will turn a little more to the right and get deeper up into northwest Alabama. Those are the more individual supercells we'll really have to watch as we go through the afternoon. Now, there are no tornado warnings in our immediate area right now, but we do have a tornado warning back in the northeast Mississippi that does include portions of Itawamba County, western and southwestern portions are very close to our viewing area. It has had a confirmed tornado with it previously. Taylor, I know you've been watching that storm carefully back in northeast Mississippi. We'll switch over to you and let you talk about what you've been watching the past several minutes here.
Yeah, that's right, Fred. Again, like what we mentioned when we were on at noon, literally just a handful of minutes ago, is these storms are really starting to deepen. They're starting to strengthen, and they're just taking advantage of the overall environment that's in place. And the thing is, the environment just gets more and more and more favorable as we go throughout the afternoon in regards to that tornado development. Let's go over to links 2. I want to show you guys kind of what we're watching here. Again, Fred mentioned that severe thunderstorm warning that includes Corinth, Iuka, and Boonville. There is a little bit of rotation with that, as you see here with this little shear marker right in here. So there's a little bit of rotation that's going on. But the thing that's really starting to catch my eye is you're getting supercells that are trying to compete with each other, and that's expected early on as they start to grow and mature. And you're probably going to see kind of hit or miss tornado warnings probably over the next, I would say, hour or so. And that will include the stuff going on in Tupelo is you got 2 supercells, and now you've got some just broad rotation. You got 2 areas of rotation within that, and it's making it pretty broad. So once they start either getting more organized, one of them takes over, the other one starts to die out, it will start to eventually it'll probably start to work itself out, and you get a dominant supercell out of that, and it will continue to track to the northeast. The thing that's really catching my eye now is what's going on down here south of Tupelo near Amory and Aberdeen. Really, really good supercells starting to get going here, already getting some shear skits on them. The rotation's not necessarily at the surface, but like I mentioned at noon, let's go up a little higher in the atmosphere, and there is a little bit of rotation there, but it's not overly strong as you work your way down. So those are just developing supercells, but they're in the right spot. They're really not competing with anything to the south. The wind that's coming into these are coming in at about this area right there. So there's nothing down here to the south that's inhibiting any inflow going into those supercells. So that will probably allow them to strengthen, and those will eventually work their way on up towards that Itawamba County area, east of Tupelo, over there near Fulton, Mississippi, eventually, and then could eventually get closer to Tishomingo County and potentially into parts of northwestern Alabama. So that's what I'm kind of looking at from the broad perspective here, is even though we don't have a tornado warning that is in effect for our immediate viewing area, we have that severe thunderstorm warning like we've been talking about. But as for that tornado potential, it looks like it's starting to ramp up, especially with those cells south of Tupelo. There's nothing behind them, Fred, that's going to inhibit any of that inflow going into them.
Right, so we're going to have to start watching things really vigilantly here as we go forward over the next X number of minutes here. It's not just hours away anymore. I do think we're starting to get to where it may not be a few minutes away, it may be tens of minutes or a few dozens of minutes away, but I think we're not too far away from probably having the first tornado warnings in the viewing area. The initial tornado warning, if we get one here really, really, really soon, I would guess it would probably be southern Tishomingo County, and it may involve Franklin County, Alabama, for one of these circulations in this band back here that really tries to tighten up. So if you are watching me in Tishomingo County, Mississippi, maybe the western part of Franklin County, Alabama, even western Colbert County, Alabama, you don't have tornado warnings right now, but especially if you're in a mobile home. Shelters are already open in these areas because you have the PDS Tornado Watch. Get ahead of this. Don't wait until there are tornado warnings and then head out to community shelters and things like that. If you're in these particular areas of Tishomingo County especially, and western Franklin County, Alabama especially, maybe western Colbert County especially, it may be a good idea to go ahead and leave the mobile home and head to the shelter and stay there and ride this thing out, because they stay open for the duration of it. We don't want you on the road at the last minute with a tornado bearing down at 65 miles an hour. We're going to give you as much lead time as we can this afternoon. And again, that's not the time it's going to enter the viewing area. That's the time it's going to get in Lauderdale County.
Severe thunderstorm warning for Lauderdale, Colbert, and Franklin, so it's going to be ahead of this line.
Okay. So they're giving lead time with this, and it's not a tornado warning yet, but they're giving you advance notice that the storms are coming in. So if you're in these areas of northwest Alabama and Tishomingo County in Mississippi, it may not be a bad idea not to hunker down and duck yet, but it may not be a bad idea that if you have to leave a mobile home, go ahead and do that now to get out ahead of everything so that we can keep you in a safe spot.
Also including that, if you want to go over to Links 1 real quick, guys. Links 1, new tornado watch is in effect for all of our viewing area here in Tennessee.
Yeah, I'll let you talk about that because I still haven't gotten the expiration time on the new warning.
Yeah, let me go to, just keep that up, guys. Don't double box me, just keep that up. So according to the Weather Service in Tennessee, tornado watch for the entire area, it's set far northeastern counties, and that goes into what time, Kelly? That goes until 9 p.m. Again, this one is not a PDS tornado warning. I do want to stress, though, especially on days like today, that everybody kind of gets involved with this high risk and go back. There you go. Go back. All right. Everybody gets involved with this high risk PDS, everything like that. So people start focusing in on, hey, the big tornado potential is with that PDS tornado watch. No, don't think that. There could easily be a strong or violent tornado in a non-PDS tornado watch. That doesn't mean that you can't get those EF3, EF4, maybe an EF5, but it's a little bit more of a stretch once you go that farther to the north. So it's not impossible. Don't downplay the fact that here in Lawrenceburg, you're not under a PDS tornado watch. So that means that anything that crosses that line into Lawrence County, it's going to start to fall apart. No, that's not the case. Tornado watch is a tornado watch today. Everybody needs to take these warnings seriously, including these severe thunderstorm warnings. One of the things that the Weather Service will do today, and we're already seeing it happen with this severe thunderstorm warning for Lauderdale, Colbert, and Franklin counties. I'll get to those towns here in just a second. But what the Weather Service will be doing today is they'll likely issue severe thunderstorm watch or warnings well ahead of these storms. And then if there needs to be a tornado warning with that, then they will issue it once that becomes more prevalent. But at least they're giving you the heads up with the severe thunderstorm warnings that, hey, this is going to be an issue. You need to heed these warnings. So I would start kind of getting my plan together if you're in Florence, Cherokee, Russellville, Red Bay, just in case a tornado warning is off.
Kelly's doing social media. I'm sorry,
yeah,
Taylor.
that's fine. Yeah, links to here. So again, if you're Florence, Russellville, Red Bay, Iuka, Tuscumbia, you don't have to go to your safe place right now, but I would start getting that plan in place just in case you do have a tornado warning that is issued at some point in the near future. I did see that Kelly was doing that time of arrival. I'll do another one here quickly and kind of run through those. Is that still about 60 miles an hour?
Carry that a good bit more northeast. It's not coming due east.
They have it moving at 40. I do a little bit faster.
I'll go 55. That's probably good right there. And I'm going to move that over here so we can see the storms. So altitude about 1256. Now that's updated altitude now. Sandy Springs about 1 o'clock. It's 1255 right now. New Hope about 1 o'clock. Fairview about 103. Payton at about 103 as well. And I'm going to adjust this. And
show range of 50, and that'll spell it out for you.
That's what I was going to do. So I'm going to do 50 there. Hit OK. And that's a lot better there. So Tishomingo about 110, Belmont about 112, Iuka also at 112, Red Bay there in far western Alabama down there in Franklin County. That's going to be at about 115 as well. Waterloo 118, Cherokee 127, Cypress in about 133, and you extrapolate it out a little bit further. Florence, you're probably close to about 145 at that point. So again, Fred, that's what we're watching for, that new tornado watch for all of our viewing area, PDS across North Alabama, standard tornado watch across Tennessee, but the threat is still the same for everybody in our viewing area.
Yeah. Like you said, it doesn't matter if it's a PDS watch or not. A large number of our large tornadoes here happen in regular tornado watches. It's just that the probability of the big ones is higher in the PDS watch, and that's why it has that labeling. I don't want you to focus on the PDS watch being PDS and not PDS in Tennessee. I don't want you focusing on whether you're in a level 4 or a level 5 or a level 3 or A, B, C, D, E, F, G today. That's why we've drawn our own map that shows you just where the violent tornado potential is, where the significant risk is. We tried to really simplify it for you because all this minutia can be confusing. And today's the type of day where you really don't need to be confused. That can be dangerous. So we tried to simplify everything for you. And I know one of the things people do when they get nervous is they look for things to get confused about. And that's just a part of human nature. It's not anything that you're just trying to be negligent about. It's just your anxiety, and we understand that. So we help guide you in the things that you need to focus on. And those are things you don't need to focus on. It's whether you're in a level 5 or a level 4 or a level 3 or if it's a PDS watch versus a regular watch. But the severe thunderstorm warnings in northwest Alabama, that's for early heads up for the storms moving in here, and that goes until 1:45. It's roughly, not exact to the pixel, but roughly along and west of Highway 43 in northwest Alabama, over Lauderdale, Colbert, and Franklin counties here. It runs from the state line here on Alabama Highway 17, that's Chisholm Road, down through downtown Florence to Muscle Shoals, out here toward Littleville, to Red Bay, to Phil Campbell, westward in the counties. So that's Waterloo and Central Heights and Oakland and Murphy's Crossroads and Cherokee and Marjoram and Owlsboro and Minot and Bishop and Red Bay and Phil Campbell and all these other communities. That's a severe thunderstorm warning in northwest Alabama that's going to run until 1:45. Then we have the severe thunderstorm warnings that still continue for Hardin and Tishomingo, and this is something we're going to have to watch. You see what I see. Yeah, live doesn't go that far out. Yes, let's go back to GWX.
There we go.
Yeah, we do have a developing circulation here in southern areas of Hardin County, Tennessee. Now that's looking several thousand feet above ground with the radar beam.
That's 6,000 feet.
Yeah, so that's not necessarily at the ground. That's not why there's quickly a tornado warning with that, but you notice the curl in the pattern. That's what we're talking about with supercells embedded within this line. They don't have to be way off by themselves. That's the kind of thing you have to watch today. And if that tightens up a little more, there could quickly be a tornado warning for Hardin County, Tennessee, and it might go over into Wayne County, Tennessee very quickly because these are moving very fast today. So let's get ahead of this. I know this is not a tornado warning, but there's a severe thunderstorm warning in place, and there's a tornado watch. Let's go ahead and do time of arrival in a storm track, going pretty sharply northeast from just ahead of the rotation at the speed that you guys have been keeping up with. And here's some times of arrival for this circulation that we'll have to watch to see if it tries to tighten up and become a tornado situation. Again, it's not yet, but it's trying to tighten up, and it could be doing that here very shortly. Walnut Grove at 111, Big Ivy at 112, Center Star at 113, Lutz, Tennessee at 120, Martins Mill 121, Olive Hill 121, Cromwell Crossroads at 126, Clifton Junction at 126. So honestly, I would say now might be the time in southern Hardin County and the western areas of Wayne County, Tennessee. If you're in a mobile home, go ahead and get out of the mobile home, head toward your shelter location that you would go to. You don't have to hunker down yet, but be within minutes, stepping distance of your shelter so that if this is upgraded to a tornado warning, you can go there quickly. Since this is trying to ramp up, we're not going to go back to regular programming just yet. We're going to sit here and watch this and see how this goes over the next few minutes, especially with storms starting to move in now. And it may just be a good idea that we're just going to be here. And I love that we are a digital TV outlet and we don't have to worry about real regular programming. Our regular programming anyway is weather, so we're not interrupting ball games and Freak of the Week on TV and things like that, so we don't have to worry about that. So we might be here for a while, even when there are not immediate tornado warnings across the area. We're still going to stay with these storms. Here's the live cam from Waynesboro, Tennessee. 64 degrees. Notice the dew point is 64. Things are starting to destabilize. We're not in the 70s yet, but that warmer air is coming northward into the area. We were looking at some mesoanalysis data right before these warnings were issued. And there's some really unstable air coming northward rapidly ahead of these storms into northwest Alabama that will flow into southern middle Tennessee. So this temperature will be going up. The dew point's likely to go up a little bit more as well.
Do we, I think I've asked this before, but do we know what direction this pointed to?
That
I'm trying to see the raindrops, and I think it's facing to the west.
That's our older legacy camera. The one that we caught the big Clifton wedge on in 2023, that had some hardware issues and failed. This one we haven't used in so long, I couldn't tell you. Ben would be the one to answer that. And honestly, it's probably time that he's likely going to be coming in here in the next couple minutes to hunker down on our sky cams and things like that.
Actually, I just realized this. There's flags down there in that bottom middle.
Yeah.
And that looks like it's facing west because those flags are flapping from left to right.
Yeah, I noticed a lot of the cameras he was pointing either west or southwest today ahead of time to just get ready for storms to come in.
He said it's angled south.
Okay, so 64 degrees here with a dew point of 64. That's the conditions ahead of this Hardin County storm that's trying to rotate. That is supportive of tornado development. Now, that's not the high octane fuel that's down a little farther south that's coming rapidly up northwest Alabama, but you could easily get a tornado warning if that tries to tighten. Let's look at velocity again, and then we'll work down the line. We'll go back into Hardin County and look at that storm again. And we're still broad and noisy, and if we're broad and noisy at 6,000 to 8,000 feet, we're probably even more broad and noisy with a storm like this down below. So we'll step back off of this for a second. Just give you a heads up with that situation right there. Here's your overall line of thunderstorms with gusty straight line winds. This is not blasting off to the east. This is moving more like this. You see all the storm tracking arrows pointing north-northeast instead of due east. It's kind of training over itself, and that's creating a roadmap for the more individual storms out ahead of it to come to the north. And that will really have to watch for that supercell type of threat. Taylor, I know you're carefully tracking that stuff over there. We'll switch over to you here for just a moment and get your analysis on what you see.
Yeah, I'm just kind of watching that National Weather Service chat, also looking at radar on my phone. I'm not seeing anything that's standing out. The thing that might be in our favor for the near term, and the Weather Service in Nashville was alluding to this, is that the way that these storms are oriented in northeastern Mississippi, they're kind of parallel to the shear vectors. So that means it can be more upscale growth into a line or a QLCS. But as we go later on throughout the afternoon, especially what we're watching across southern Mississippi, is those vectors start to change back to where they become more favorable for those supercells. And that's why we're all thinking that while there might be some lines in this situation, specifically now, there's a chance that some of those supercells could start to break away from that line and become more discrete. So that's something we'll watch for on top of the supercells that are developing down to our south. We'll flip over to links 2 again, guys. We'll take a look at what's going on to the south. Again, those cells that are near Okolona and Amory and Aberdeen, they're still looking pretty nasty here on reflectivity. Take a look at the velocity data. There's a little more low-level rotation going on, so they're probably starting to get more deep and organized. Again, the shear just increases throughout the day. So these I would really pay close attention to if you're in northwestern Alabama from like Hamilton up towards Red Bay, because even though these are kind of moving a little more to the north and east, eventually they'll make their way into parts of northwestern Alabama, and they could easily become tornadic in that spot. I want to flip back over to the Waynesboro camera, as Ben just texted me, said it is now moved. So he moved it, so now this is looking kind of west-southwest. And what we're looking for, there it is, there it's updated. And there is a little bit, yeah, I can see it. I don't know if I can draw on here. You can see my cursor, though. There's a little bit of lowering right in here, but there's a little more ominous funnel-looking, wall cloud-ish looking lowering there. It's not well defined, but there are little spots here and there in that camera that's getting a little more interesting, as opposed to, really not seeing anything there. Looks like new severe thunderstorm warning for Chickasaw, Itawamba, Lee, and Monroe counties there in Mississippi. So I'll keep an eye on that, and I'm trying to see how it updates any movement there. It looks like there's a little bit of movement going on right towards that center part of the screen, but there's a lot of creepy-looking clouds, if you will, and it's kind of hard to tell exactly where a mesocyclone would be, but it looks like it's right smack dab in the middle of that image there. So we'll keep an eye on that. Ben, if you're listening, just keep that kind of focused in that area, if you will. Again, that's this cluster of storms right here, and that area rotation we're watching looks like it should be in this general vicinity now. You
may be getting into the very edge of the live radar range now too, where you can start to see velocity.
Let me flip on over there. Where's live radar? Yes, so let me go ahead and look at live velocity and zoom on in. It's going to be a little tough to tell that far out. There's a little bit of rotation right back in here, just between Center Star and Big Ivy, and that will eventually make its way towards Lutz and Martins Mills. Again, this is on the southwestern point of Wayne County here, and there's a chance that that could creep on up to the northeast. So there is a little bit of rotation. Let me go back to the live. Let me do that instead of clear it. Let me circle it and then go back to live radar, just kind of see where exactly it is. And it is in a little bit of a favorable spot there. So we'll keep an eye on that. Again, there's no active warning here for Wayne County, but if you're in Waynesboro, Martins Mills, Lutz, Collinwood, if you live between Collinwood and Waynesboro, right there on Tennessee Highway 13, I would start easing my way towards potentially going to your tornado shelter just in case this does ramp up very quickly. And there's a lot of shear out there, so things like this can ramp up pretty quickly. And if there were going to be any quick spin up type situation in our viewing area, it would actually be this stuff right here, as opposed to the big long track ones that I think the better chance of that at this moment is further to the south. So
yeah,
this would have more of that quick spin up potential, Fred.
Yeah, if we have the long track type potential get into Tennessee, it's going to be from stuff coming up out of Mississippi into Alabama first, and then easing up into Tennessee from the south. This stuff right here, quick spin-up tornadoes are still damaging. You saw what happened in Tuscumbia back in February. We'll have to watch that, but that would be the type of tornado threat here if there were to be one developing here over the next few minutes. And that's going to be coming into the Lutz area, Martins Mill, like Taylor said, back up toward Waynesboro and Collinwood here over the next few minutes. So we're watching the cloud bases to see what we see a lot. Now, on the leading edge of something like that, some of that can just be scud, but low-hanging areas like this where there is rotation, you do have to watch that. 64 is the temperature. 64 is also the dew point. East-southeast wind to 5 miles per hour. Ben's controlling the camera, panning around.
He said he moved a little too far. He's moving back to the southwest.
Okay.
So it looks like it's kind of hard to tell, especially with the hills in the way. You're kind of obscuring the bottom of the clouds there, but as he kind of makes his way back around, back that direction, I think, Ben, if you're listening, I think if anything, it's going to be back in this area just behind that hill where you got that silo right there. He's kind of panning around. And the other thing that could be happening, Fred, and you mentioned this, especially with kind of the creepy-looking clouds, is a lot of that actually might be outflow dominant. So you actually could get a little bit of a shelf cloud, not extremely defined, but instead of it looking like a wall cloud, it actually might be more of a gust front that's just out ahead of the storm. So that might be what we're looking at, but I'm not seeing anything that screams wall cloud, funnel cloud, or tornado on the ground at this moment. But that storm's still pretty far away, so there's a chance that once it gets closer, we could actually see a little bit of something. But in the meantime, I'll flip back over here towards radar, and it is this little area that's right near Lutz that's kind of standing out to me between Martins Mill and Lutz. So let me look at the reflectivity and see if that kind of jives, and it does a little bit. So it would be in that general area. And if it does continue, I'll do a quick little storm track here. Take it at about 50 miles per hour. Waynesboro about 127, Highland about 137, Topsy around 137, Ashland around 139, and Ovila around 139. So again, this is a developing-ish area of rotation. You're starting to get a little more of some of this going on, some of that, a little V-look in the reflectivity. So there's a chance that what's going on is you've got inflow coming in from this direction. You've got the rear flank downdraft of this little rotating supercell, and then once the updraft goes up, you get some diffluence, divergence aloft, and it starts to split the supercell updraft in two, and you get a little bit of that. You get a little bit of that going on, Fred. So that kind of is catching my eye a little bit. That may be maybe there is something that's trying to get going here just southwest of Waynesboro.
All right. So, since it's not immediately tightening up, though, and we have other warnings, we're going to focus back on some of those, and I'll step back into the frame here.
I'll switch it over to Columbus next right again.
Yeah.
There we go.
All right, so let's work back down and see what some of the storms look like that are coming up through Tishomingo. And honestly, things are messy at the moment. I don't see anything that stands out particularly intense as tornadic. There are no tornado warnings in this part of the segment, so let's go to velocity and see what we have here. And everything's just a shear axis that's at this moment, except down here near Fulton, Mississippi. So let's zoom into Itawamba County and see what we have. And it does look like we have maybe a broad rotation here coming across I-22 on the south side of Fulton, Mississippi. Let's go to reflectivity and see if the structure matches with that. Yeah, and there may be an embedded cell here that may be a rotation developing. So we'll have to watch that. That's in the northeast side of the tornado warning. That's likely a supercell that's transitioning in that general area. We'll have to watch that because you see what's upstream here a little bit, southwestern areas of Franklin County, Alabama. If it tightens up, I can't rule out tornado warnings being issued for areas like Red Bay over to Russellville and the Glasgow Corner area, Halltown, Cedar Creek Reservoir, these areas. Right now, it's just a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Lauderdale, Colbert, and Franklin counties until 1:45. No tornado warnings here in our viewing area at this moment. It's just things are starting to pick up, and I think it's probably the best idea that we just stay here, and we may be here live nonstop now for the duration of this. So we'll see how this goes. Let's take an overall DMA view since we've hit the storms of concern for immediately. I know there are going to be people that are in Lawrence County, Tennessee, and Lewis County that are wondering what's going on. Murray County, Giles County, and Marshall County, and then deeper into North Alabama. It's quiet now. There are some developing showers trying to develop into thunderstorms here on Highway 43 north of Lawrenceburg up toward places like Mount Pleasant, up to Columbia. None of that's severe, but we'll have to watch it. It's out ahead of that band. And notice the line is not racing east. It's still got more of a northward component. It's the westward demarcation of the higher tornado threat. But notice all that open space still ahead of us for cells to develop and come up and ride out ahead of it that we're going to have to watch. And notice that there is new development trying to go into portions of Marion County, Franklin County that would continue to ride northeastward. So nothing that's urgently severe right now in Lawrence County, Tennessee, or Lewis County, Tennessee, or Giles County, or Murray County, or Marshall counties in Tennessee. Nothing urgently severe in Lawrence County, Alabama, or Limestone County, Alabama, or Morgan County, Alabama, or out of our viewing area in the Lincoln County or Madison County, but the stage is being set for the afternoon to get more active. And honestly, have we heard anything on what they're watching for maybe Wayne County, Tennessee, or anything like that?
I've been going back and forth between Memphis and Nashville, and they haven't really mentioned much in the way of that Wayne County, Tennessee. But if we want to quickly, if we want to flip over to the fast track output, I think that's links 2.
On 4.
Chase, there we go. There's that developing area of rotation we're talking about, Fred, that's down there near Fulton. So this would be a heads up for parts of western Alabama and Franklin and Colbert counties that Chase has there. So we're still watching that. There's no active tornado warning on that. They've actually allowed it to expire, but it's still rotating. And again, with this environment that's going on today, especially with this jumbled mess of embedded supercells, line segments, whatever you call it, a QLCS at this point in northeastern Mississippi, anything that develops could actually end up being your quick spin up, and that's actually a pretty good signature that's right on top of Fulton right now. So there could be another developing tornado on top of Fulton here in Itawamba County, and that will eventually make its way on off to the northeast and could get into parts of Franklin County here soon, Fred. So I saw that Chase was over there doing a storm track on the fast track system, and that's probably the best area rotation we have to look at right now in our immediate kind of vicinity, if you will.
On the Waynesboro camera, you've got some messy, scuddy-looking clouds.
All right, I'll pull it up here if you want to, guys, you want to take links 2. There you go, change over there. Yeah, there's a little bit of scud. The thing you can kind of see it in the camera view if I look at the monitor. Back, it's kind of gone now, but back in that area, it looked like there's a little bit more of a lowering there. But you're getting a lot of motion that's going on in the lower part of the atmosphere. So you're going to get these little fingers, these little scud pockets that start to hang down a little bit. But the thing that you're looking for is something that is hanging down. It's consistent. It starts to rotate. It's not quickly there and gone. And I'm not really seeing a lot of that right now. But again, I would put it broad at this point. That's probably the best assessment I can give for any area of rotation that's south of Waynesboro. So again, we're still watching it, but no warning. So we'll keep an eye on that. But that's not our immediate concern at this point with warnings that are off to our west here. Let me stop the loop and quickly look at just the velocity again on some of this stuff. And yeah, there's that Fulton area rotation down there, but I'm not really seeing anything else that stands out, Fred. Everything's kind of lined out at this point. So you probably have some pretty gusty or even damaging winds with this, but I don't really see anything that's like big time tornadoes screaming at me.
Yeah, okay. So, and that's pretty apparent here because they've even let the tornado warning go down in Itawamba County at this time. That is a suspicious storm, and it's the best one on radar close by, but it's still not even tight enough to keep a tornado warning at this time. Things are still evolving this afternoon, and you notice here that even back to the southwest, we have more storms broken into line that are starting to look more cellular. And as this continues to lift northeastward, we will start to get into this stuff here back to the west of Starkville and West Point moving up, in addition to the stuff that's developing out in the open warm sector. So we have a ways to go here. So let's go ahead and do a reset. Let's hit the watch warning map and talk about what's going on, because people are going to join us in and out, and every so often we have to hit a reset here. We'll take it right here. And we do have several severe thunderstorm warning zones going across parts of the area, and they've just reissued a tornado warning in Itawamba. Now, Itawamba County is not in our viewing area. It's one county away, but you notice downstream from that, you have southern Tishomingo County and western areas of Franklin County. If you're in southern Tishomingo County, Mississippi, and if you're especially in western areas of Franklin County, Alabama, and you're in a mobile home, it's time to go ahead and head for the shelter to get ahead of that rotation in case it holds together and tornado warnings could be required.
And Fred, real quick, that's actually not from the Fulton one. That's that Supercell that's behind it. That's starting to get going.
Okay, so yeah, long lead time on that. So we'll watch that evolving here, but let's stop, and we're going to stop micro-focusing for just a moment. We're going to do a reset and an overview here. Tornado watch for all of the viewing area now. Now, they've let Hardin County go in the tornado watch, but you still have an active severe thunderstorm warning. So until we get that line to clear your county, let's just pretend for a moment that there's a tornado watch still in place, because you have an active warning that's even more important than that. So we'll say that all of our viewing areas under a tornado watch now. Tishomingo County, Mississippi, it's until 6 o'clock. North Alabama, it's until 8 o'clock. And guys, what did you say for Middle Tennessee? 9 o'clock tonight. Now, the watches down here in Mississippi and Alabama are a special kind of tornado watch. They're called a PDS tornado watch. That stands for a particularly dangerous situation. We see about 1 or 2 days a year with these on average in our area here in the Tennessee Valley. They're issued when there's this heightened threat of the potential for a few long track, strong to violent tornadoes. That's EF2 or stronger on the damage scale, and they really like to focus the PDS watches when there's the potential for EF3, 4, or 5 type damage. They're not issued that often. It doesn't mean that there's a 100% guarantee that there's going to be an F4 or an F5 in the watch today, but it means that the conditions are supportive of that caliber of tornado somewhere in the watch. And that's why we're on this heightened state of awareness today, because there could be 1 or 2 tornadoes that are that strong, in addition to some medium range tornadoes and some smaller tornadoes as well. There are severe thunderstorm warnings to 145 for a large part of Lauderdale County, Colbert County, Franklin counties, in northwest Alabama. That does include the immediate Shoals metro area, the Quad Cities, Florence, Muscle Shoals, Tuscumbia, Sheffield. It includes Russellville. It includes Phil Campbell. It includes the Oakland area back through Cloverdale and Central Heights back to Waterloo. It includes Cherokee, and we'll look at the Cherokee Cam in just a moment. It includes Bishop and Minot and Allsboro. It also includes Red Bay and those surrounding areas in Franklin County. So let's go ahead and go over to the Cherokee camera, and we'll look at conditions there. And we're up to 68 degrees ahead of this line now. We're getting closer to the lower 70s. 63 is the dew point. These are live updating conditions from atop that hill on the south side of town there, on the south side of US 72. A southeast wind currently sustained at 15 miles per hour. And you see the low hazy cloud deck off to the west and the northwest from those thunderstorms back into northeast Mississippi. So we'll go back to the radar here. And again, there are no, what you got, Taylor?
Well, continue with your thought, and I'll get on this storm that is probably going to be the big supercell, at least in the near term, that could be getting up to our viewing area. If you want to finish your thought real quick.
No, go ahead.
All right, so we can't show these cameras, but from James Bishop in the Memphis Weather Service chat, he posted a screenshot on one of the cameras in Amory, Mississippi, and there was looked like a funnel that touched down, so it looked like there was a tornado on the ground. We're watching it over here off of my shoulder, and there is a very well-defined wall cloud that is rotating with it. And again, that's for this supercell right here that is just north of Amory, Mississippi. So this is going to be one, it's on the tail end of that cluster of storms, so it has nothing impeding its inflow coming into that storm itself. So that is going to, and they do have that confirmed tornado warning on it, by the way. Let me clear that off. But this one would eventually move into parts of either Itawamba County, will move into Itawamba County, but it could eventually move into parts of northwestern Alabama. Red Bay's not in this, but eventually get into that area probably close to 2 o'clock. So maybe another 35 minutes or so before that could start to potentially move into our viewing area here in Franklin County. So that's just a heads up on that. I've been watching those cells, and we're now getting confirmation that there at least was a tornado on the ground and could still easily be on the ground here north of Amory, Mississippi, and that will eventually move into southern Itawamba County. That will include the Fulton and Tremont areas right there along Interstate 22, and could eventually move into parts of Franklin County. But that's just a heads up. That's still a ways to go, but that looks like it could be one of the bigger supercells that we're going to be seeing here in the near term, Fred.
Yeah, and keep in mind, and we'll go back to the radar here so we can look at this. Keep in mind that even though we have this, I need myself on the wall, guys, thank you. Even though we have this line cluster here moving up northeastward into northwest Alabama, keep in mind, it's not blasting across northwest Alabama just fast due straight to east. It's kind of doing more one of these things here, to where, yes, you get this rain up ahead, but then on the back edge of it, you get this supercell type structure that rides up as well, and there's the unstable air feeding into it from the south, so that any rain cool air ahead of it may not matter too much, because it's not grabbing inflow and juice from the north, it's grabbing it from the south and the southeast instead. So that may be a sustained tornado threat that will eventually move up into northwest Alabama over the next hour or so. In our viewing area, that would be particular attention immediately the western half of Franklin County, Alabama. You need to be alert to this. There have already been severe thunderstorm warnings in place just as an early heads up of the storms moving in. But if that cycles or if it holds together, tornado warnings could over the next several minutes be required for western Franklin County. If it holds together, that will probably clip northwestern areas of Marion County. That's just outside the viewing area, but as a heads up, or if you have friends and family there, make them aware today too. And this is one of these days where we really need your help in the warning process, because a lot of people just, they're not aware, because people unplug, especially on the weekend. Some people aren't aware this is even going on, or they thought the morning was it and then it's done. Especially if there's a little sun coming out, they may have thought that morning storms were it and it's done. It's not over, it's just now beginning. If you have friends and family in these areas, especially to get a tornado warning this afternoon, give them a call, give them a text, let them know something's coming. you may save their life later today if there is a bigger tornado. So we'll move that storm track time of arrival back to the left because it's behind me at this time.
Yeah, hang on a second. I need to actually widen that. Just,
Okay.
Whoop, that's too much. That's probably fine right there. Just a quick note, the Weather Service in Birmingham, they have a polygon drawn over northwestern Marion County just in case they need to pull the trigger. That is a tornado warning that they have drawn up, ready to go. The thing on that would be most likely the Weather Service in Huntsville will follow suit and would most likely do one for Franklin County as well. I have not seen anything on their end, but again, that's just usually what happens if Marion County gets clipped right there. Franklin County eventually will get clipped as well by Huntsville.
All right. Yeah, so we're not going to go anywhere because this is starting to ramp up now. So we're going to be here, and it may indeed be for the duration of the entire threat, the rest of the afternoon into the evening hours. So here's some times of arrival for the circulation back in the southern areas of Itawamba, northern Monroe, that will be eventually moving up into areas like western portions of Franklin County. And we need to go ahead and do the first city setting to go ahead and get past some of these Mississippi counties because there may be one or two Franklin County ones.
Here's Red Bay.
Okay, so Red Bay at 157, Atwood at 157, Golden, Mississippi, 158, Hodges, 158, Old Burleson, 159, Belmont at 159, Burnout, 202, Duketon at 204, Nicks Mill, 204, Pogo at 205, Glasgow Corner at 207, Pleasant Site at 207, White Oak Community at 209, and also Belgreen at 209. That's just for planning purposes because there may possibly be a tornado warning from the storm as this continues to move up to the northeast. It doesn't have anything really blocking the unstable air from feeding up into it, so we'll have to watch that very carefully. But again, no tornado warnings in the viewing area now, but that may be changing. Heavy thunderstorms with severe thunderstorm warnings moving into western Lauderdale County, western Colbert County, western Franklin County. I think more than anything, there may be some spots in that line of 50 to 60 mile per hour winds, but I think the main reason they issued it was just an early heads up in these counties in northwest Alabama, just to let you know that storms were coming that may eventually get upgraded to tornado warnings if we started to see those rotations.
And you know what I'm seeing, Fred? I'm going to I'm going to switch things over here to the radar network. Guys, take links to full. And you mentioned this, and you can put Fred on there. He'll probably talk about this too. I'm going to take the skits off, and yeah, that'll be fine. You're starting to get, those are supercells. This really isn't going to be much of more anything, I think, at this point, because I think you're starting to break that line up. Because now you're getting this stuff that's becoming more discrete, this area is becoming more discrete, and then everything down here is extremely discrete. So I think you might, I'm not saying discount this area up here, but it looks like the stronger inflow is going into this stuff that's near Amory, and it's kind of cutting off that stuff from Iuka. But I think that what you're starting to get into is you're starting to get more individual supercell storms that are becoming more discrete, and the line that's now moving into Florence is starting to become, a lot weaker. Not necessarily obsolete at this point, but it's becoming less and less of an issue, I think.
Yeah, now let's run a loop because the motion is just as important.
And they're starting to move northeast as opposed to north-northeast. So they're starting to get that other piece of energies moving through. You're starting to change the shear vectors just a little bit, and now things are becoming more supercellular, and I think this is now when we're going to start to see the tornado threat really start to ramp up. Not necessarily in our immediate area now, but off to the west. I think you're going to start to see a lot more tornado warnings out there.
Yeah, so we'll go back to me full here with that radar loop, and you can start to see more of a motion like that. That looks like that may be the evolving supercell corridor for the next few hours this afternoon, and that's going to get into northwest Alabama. That will go as far north as Lauderdale County. That will go as far north as the Florence area. But I would really say here from Florence and St. Florine and Killen to Rogersville southward, through Colbert County, through Franklin County, through Lawrence County, Alabama, through Morgan County, through Limestone County, That is really that supercell corridor evolving from the storms back into North Mississippi.
And real quick, Birmingham did do a polygon. I would see right there at the end. It does clip the far northwestern part of Marion County. No Franklin County yet, but the Birmingham did issue their part.
Okay, so there could be a tornado warning here within the next few minutes for Franklin County as well. Not seeing anything immediate coming across from National Weather Service in Huntsville. But again, that's your evolving supercell corridor. That includes most all of our Alabama counties. And as that trajectory, that does clip places like southern Wayne County and especially southern Lawrence County, Tennessee, and southern Giles County. And that's why we pulled that stronger tornado threat up into the far southern portions of these counties in southern Middle Tennessee. Now, north of there, we'll watch to see if a supercell evolves from that cluster. It can't be ruled out, but it may be more of a spin-up type tornado threat from US 64 north in Tennessee. Really, it looks like the supercell corridor is evolving here, northwest Alabama and all of the Alabama counties, and then we can't rule out it extending as far north as up to Highway 64 in southern Tennessee, especially in Lawrence and Giles counties of the viewing area. That's going to be your main strong to violent tornado corridor this afternoon within the counties that we serve here at Tennessee Valley Weather.
I mentioned literally a minute ago that we're going to start getting more tornado warnings back there. Here's one right here, and it is a very good area of rotation that has started to really get going. It looks better on, let me see if I think I have
Taylor,
base
you
velocity.
take it full while I get a water right quick.
Go ahead and take it full. Kelly, if you want to drive the radar real quick while Fred gets the water, because I want to point this out. So this is, again, this is out of our viewing area, but this is what we're starting to get into. There's a really good area of rotation that's starting to develop southwest of Tupelo. This is Chickasaw, Mississippi. So this is that part that's starting to move further to the north. And then we have this supercell that's moving further to the northwest from Amory, Mississippi, that did have a confirmed tornado warning on it and now has a tornado warning for parts of northwestern Marion County. Franklin County, you are still under that severe thunderstorm warning, but that's why I want to point that out. I want to stress that this is just now getting going, folks, and we're going to have probably several hours here where we're going to have some issues, whether that's from damaging winds, some hail, and even that tornado potential as well. And some of those tornadoes could be pretty substantial. Kelly, if you want to flip over to the reflectivity just real quick, I want to see that's just really ramping up here with that hail core starting to get going. So that's where we're starting to get in that situation. That other piece of energy is moving in. It's shifting the winds. And we do have a tornado warning now for Franklin County. So I imagine that the Weather Service would do that. But you're starting to shift the winds, what we call the shear vectors. And instead of becoming more parallel with a boundary, in this case, the storms, where they're developing, they get off of the boundary. They start shifting to where the shear is coming more this way as opposed to this way, and that allows for those discrete supercells to develop, and that's what we're getting into right now. So we have a new tornado warning here for Franklin County that goes until 2:15, and it does clip the entirety of or at least a good portion of the county, it looks like. So again, there's no active tornado that is in Franklin, it's going to be Franklin County right now. The tornado, what's Kelly drawing it, the tornado is back here, and that will eventually make its way on off to the northeast and probably go very close to Russellville. If you want to get a storm track going on that, we can kind of call out some more names or towns here. Do you know, I haven't seen exactly what they're trying to base the speed off of now. I know that there was like 65 earlier.
This one says 45.
45, okay, so they might be slowing down just a little bit. So 47's fine, get a little leeway there. And so right now, again, this is coming out of Mississippi. It'll move into parts of Marion County initially, and it'll stay in Marion County for probably about 10 minutes or so, and then it'll eventually move into parts of Franklin County. So in Marion County, you got Bexar at 141 and Scottsville at 144, and they'll eventually move into parts of Franklin County. That's where you got Vina at 155, Atwood at 158, Pig Eye at 159, Old Burleson at 159, Hodges at 2 o'clock, Burnout at 202, Hackleburg at 205, Duketown at 208, and you've got Nicks Mill at 209, Glasgow Corner at 209, Bell Green 211, Pleasant Grove 215, and Spruce Pine at 216. What you got over there, Ben?
All right, this is going to be a new severe warning for Colbert, Franklin, and Lauderdale. Does have a tour possible tag on this particular warning. It's going to be in effect until 2:30.
Okay. So they're going to, it looks like they're just, is it another blanket warning basically? Is that what they did, kind of blanket? Yeah, reissuance of it. So they're going to do that tornado possible tag because there are still little areas of spin in there. But this could be the real deal with this tornado that's potentially moving up into Marion County, into parts of Franklin County. This has a really good signature on it. If you want to flip over to velocity real quick, and then I'll let Fred pop back on the wall here and he'll take things. It looks, I'll zoom in there just a little bit. I can't tell if that's range folder or if that's actually an away. There's a little bit there, but the reflectivity does look a lot better on that. And yeah, there's a little bit of spin there. So Fred, why don't you hop back on here and we'll get Franklin County taken care of, and yeah, we'll just go from there because this looks like it is starting to kind of spin up a little bit.
What did you have, Ben? Did you have something? Okay. All right, so let's see here. New tornado warning, and what was the expiration on this, guys?
So Marion County is 2 p.m., Franklin County is 2:15.
Okay, so for Franklin County, and Marion County's not in the viewing area. I want to stress that. So our focus will be Franklin County. That's going to be 2:15. That's like the northwestern 3/4 of the county here. Tornado warning till 2:15. That does include Red Bay. That does include Russellville. It does include Vina and Atwood and Hodges back up to the Cedar Creek Reservoir. It includes almost that entire Alabama Highway 24 corridor. It includes US 43 from about Spruce Pine and Isabel northward through the county. Tornado warning till 2:15. Here's what you need to do if you're in this tornado warning area. You need to head to your shelter now. That's a small interior room, such as a bathroom, a hallway, or a closet on the lowest floor near the center of the building, away from windows. You don't have to be underground, but if you do have underground shelter, like a cellar or a basement or a storm pit, something like that, it's the best place to be. You just don't have to be there with this small interior room of a site-built structure, not a mobile home, lowest floor near the center, away from windows. We've been urging you for tens of minutes now in western Franklin County. If you're in mobile homes, you already needed to leave and head to these community shelters or your friend's house that's a site-built structure or a gas station or something like that. This is exactly why, because here we go. One of these supercell thunderstorms starting to tighten up its rotation. It's had a history of producing some shorter-lived tornadoes and may be getting ready to do something that's not quite short-lived any longer. That's moving quickly northeastward here. It's going to be moving up out of the Scottsville area up into west central areas of Franklin County pretty quickly here over the next several minutes. So we'll stop the animation. Let's do storm track with times of arrival with this. Let's go back to reflectivity so it's a little less noisy. We can pick it out easier. And just ahead of the rotation, how fast are they moving that?
They did the warning at 45, but I think it's moving a tad bit faster than that.
Okay. And I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and do an hour track with this one. Let's go ahead and do 60 minutes and do just an extended storm track here. All right, Bexar at 143, Scottsville 147. Then it starts to get into our viewing area. Franklin County, Vina at 158, Atwood at 2 o'clock, Piagai Community at 201, Hodges 202, Old Burleson 202, Burnout at 205, Duketon at 210, Nicks Mill at 211, Glasgow Corner at 211, White Oak Community 214, Bell Green 214, Spruce Pine 218, and Pleasant Grove 218. And on that track, I would imagine Russellville, it would probably be right around, I was thinking right around or just after 220, 223 there. Newsom Springs 225, Littleville, if it holds together, 231, Colbert Heights 234, and Tuscumbia, that's a little north of where I think it would track, but you have to leave margin for error here. Sometimes they shift left a little bit, sometimes they shift right, and there's more error the farther you go out and track. So if it would to turn left, 239 would be the rough time of arrival. This is for planning purposes out here in the extended range so that you have time to leave mobile homes and seek more sturdy structure for shelter on a day like today. It's critical with these supercell thunderstorms that you do that. And now we have our low-level lock, our shear marker popping here on that, where that rotation, it's not especially tight, but it is tightening enough to trip that shear marker, that red rotating cylinder there. So that tells me that this is trying to ramp up now. Yeah, here's the shear rate product, the rotation tracker. It is getting into the strong range now, just north of Scottsville, north of I-22. This Alabama 19 that runs up from the northwest side of Hamilton up into the Atwood and Vina area here with Alabama 172, and then 19 goes back up to Red Bay. That's that general region that tornadic circulation is tightening up with and tracking towards. So let's zoom in a little closer.
And Fred, I've got another radar source over here. You're exactly right. It's starting to ramp up a little bit. You're getting a lot more. You can see it a little bit with base velocity. I'll show you this. You're getting a lot more inflow that's starting to kind of come in this direction. You're getting some increased velocity data. So this is definitely starting to suck in a lot more fuel and a lot more wind energy with it. And I imagine you'll probably start to see a little bit more rotation in the next couple of scans.
Right, and honestly, this could be the birth of one of these long trackers. I can't guarantee that, but it's moving into an environment that's favorable. It has the structure that would support it, and it doesn't have anything blocking it to the south. So I'm telling you, this is suspicious here. Even if there's not something on the ground right this very second, you need to take this warning seriously and be in your safe place up here through Franklin County. And if you're watching us from Northwest Marion County, I know you're not technically in the viewing area, but if you watch us from Scottsville up to Pig Eye and up to the county line with Franklin County, be in your safe place as well. But we'll keep the zoom we have because we want to see the smaller communities. I want to call out some of these specific smaller communities up here in Franklin County. We're talking about Hodges, Atwood, the Vina area, Old Burleson, Glasgow Corner, Duketon. I think it's going to stay to the south of Burnout. They drew the polygon pretty far northwest of Franklin County because you have to leave room for error and wiggle room on a day like today. But I think it's going to be south of there toward Bell Green, Glasgow Corner, the Franklin County EMA, Duketon, and then eventually up here into Isabel, maybe Russellville proper if it holds together, in Waco and Bethsaida and Fairview and these communities up the US 43 corridor in the northern part of the county. Again, that's a new tornado warning. It's not new. It's been out for a few minutes now until 2:15.
And I'm pretty sure, we've all been aware, all this moist, unstable air is continuing to flood into our area. This is from the Weather Service in Nashville. They posted what their sounding is at their station. You got a lot of wind shear.
Take radar full while Tony talks,
take radar full. You got a lot of wind shear. There's not a lot of instability there, but underneath it, they mentioned that Huntsville is at 70 degrees, and so these storms here are surface-based, and so now that warm, moist, unstable air is rushing northward, not only from here in Franklin County up into the Shoals and Lawrence County, but also in Huntsville. So that means that if you go further to the east, you're talking about Fayetteville, Pulaski. That area is starting to get a lot more unstable as well. So this is just the beginning of this entire setup. So I just wanted to mention that kind of off the side, that the temperatures still are rising, and Huntsville is now at 70 degrees. I imagine their instabilities getting up there pretty high as well, Fred.
All right, so while this is still in Marion County for a couple more minutes, and we've given a lot of detailed information now for Franklin County, let's do a quick reset to let everybody know in these other areas, we're not ignoring you. Heavy rain and gusty winds and a severe thunderstorm warning up here into the western half to 3/4 of Lauderdale County and Colbert County. That does include Muscle Shoals, Tuscumbia, Sheffield, and Florence. That does include St. Florine and Killen all the way back west into Waterloo and Cherokee. There could be some spotty areas of 60+ mile per hour winds. There is a severe thunderstorm warning up into southern middle Tennessee. Let's go to the HTX radar.
Hey,
yeah, what you got?
Based on that, OHX Nashville has opted to go with an SPS or a thunderstorm advisory for now instead of warning on it.
Okay. So what a heavy thunderstorm advisory is, that's a step below a severe thunderstorm warning. That means that the storms are gusty. They have a lot of lightning. They may have small hail, but they're not something you need to run to your shelter from. And that main line of thunderstorms here in southern middle Tennessee stretches up the body of Wayne County from Cypress Inn and Lutz up through Fairview and Holly Creek up into Collinwood and Waynesboro and Topsy and Ashland, then up into Lewis County, right up in the Hohenwald, and then up into Hickman County, north of our viewing area. And that is steadily shifting northeastward. That will be moving into Lawrence, the body of Lawrence County, Tennessee, the body of Murray County, Tennessee, over the next 20 to 60 minutes. So we'll stop the loop.
And while I'm doing that real quick, from the this is in the Birmingham chat. This is from the EMA office, Blake Farley in Marion County. Got a screenshot of, I think someone is either storm chasing or they got a ALDOT cam looking west into that supercell, and they do have a lowering there. There's nothing on the ground, but they do have a lowering.
Okay. All right, so let's do a quick squall track on these storms in southern middle Tennessee, and then we'll, just for the southern middle Tennessee section, let's give some large community top times of arrival for our counties here in Tennessee for this line coming across. And you may have to do like a show range of 50, 70, something like that.
I'll try 50 first.
Yeah, and we'll move the times back over to the left here. And for the line here, for the next 1 hour, West Point 152.
Hold on a second, let me go out. 60 minutes. It was 45 at that point.
Okay.
There you go.
So West Point 152, Deerfield 154, Pea Ridge at 156, Loretto 2 o'clock, Arkland 202, Bethel at 203, Summertown 203, Lawrenceburg 205, Etheridge 207, Mount Pleasant 208, Thompson Station 219, Campbellsville 220, Columbia 220, Spring Hill 221, Culleoka 228. So I would imagine that would be coming across Pulaski, let's see. Yeah, I was about to say 230. I was 1 minute off. 229, Linville 229, Cornersville 241, Lewisburg 244, Chapel Hill 246, and then out of our viewing area, the Smyrna, Tennessee area at 243. That's that line of thunderstorms. That may be the main show for southern middle Tennessee, except for south of Highway 64 in southern Giles and southeast Lawrence. We'll still have to watch for stuff coming up out of Alabama. But from 64 north, this line may be it for the day. We'll see how that evolves over the next hour or two. But it's looking like the Supercell corridor is mainly going to be a northwest Alabama situation this afternoon. And then we'll watch to see if it tries to sneak up into southern areas of Lawrence County, Tennessee, and southern Giles County, Tennessee, and then just out of our viewing area, southern Lincoln County. But the focus here the next couple hours with the supercells is going to be northwest Alabama. Taylor, I'll let you do it from the pod still, but I'll let you talk about what you're seeing over in Franklin County again.
Okay, starting to see a little bit more ramping up here, and like I mentioned, that emergency manager, Blake Farley from Marion County, posted, I believe that's an ALDOT cam that's looking on I-22 westward, and it was looking into that storm. He posted that, 151? He posted that about 10 minutes
Radar
ago.
full, please.
And there is a little bit of a lowering there. We'll take a look at the storm relative velocity. It's not too pronounced yet, but if I go back to reflectivity, I think what's happening is you see this little appendage that's kind of dropping in here. You got your supercell, and you've got your rear flank downdraft coming in this way. You've got your inflow coming in that way. But the rear flank downdraft is not strong enough yet to where it can actually fully wrap back around in this spot. You actually just have more of a gust front that's kind of developed here right along that edge. So you got winds coming in from this direction. So you don't really have a lot of that twisting yet. But a lot of this time what's going on is that storms just either trying to get organized. It takes it a little time. Sometimes storms can do it quicker than others. This one looks like it's kind of taking a little more of its, precious time to, figure out what it wants to do. But there's signs there that tell me that it's trying to reorganize itself. So while I don't think that there's a tornado on the ground, There is a lowering most likely with this cell, but I don't see anything that is screaming, tornado on the ground at this point. That doesn't mean if you're in Belgreen, Russellville, or any part of Franklin County that you're in the warning. You still need to pay attention to this. Just because there's not a tornado on the ground now, it doesn't mean that there won't be 5, 10 minutes, maybe even sooner than that. So I'm still watching things. I do want to back things out. Now our focus is on Franklin County real quick.
Let's stay there for a minute and go to Fast Track because, and that's why I was saying come back to me because they have storm tracks with times of arrival.
Okay, do that, and then we'll
back out here.
Yeah.
So here's some times of arrival for this rotation as it comes up to the northeast. You have the Old Nauvoo area at 201. This is Fast Track live Doppler radar. The Dempsey area at 202. Glasgow Corner at 202. Ewan Crossroads here at 203. Belgreen at 205. Slick Rock Ford. These are some smaller communities out here in Franklin County. 207. Frankfort 213. Woodlawn Heights at 216. And Crooked Oak at 216. And what's that coming across?
That's a flash flood warning.
Okay, so flash flood warning. It looks like in the Tishomingo County, Mississippi.
Yes.
Heavy rain is falling and there's a flash flood threat increasing. Tornado warning is a bit more urgent. We'll have to stay with that. But Tishomingo County, be careful driving out there because the heavy rain is starting to pile up. So that's the times of arrival here for these communities up through the central part of Franklin County. Russellville, Phil Campbell, westward in the county, that's the tornado concern. Taylor, we'll go back to you and what you're tracking.
Yeah, if you go back to links 2, fellas, I've taken the warnings off because it's kind of getting a little jumbled up there. You can hardly see anything. So this is what I'm watching for. You notice how we have that supercell that's moving into Franklin County that has that tornado warning. We're still watching that. There's nothing imminent with that as it looks at this point. We have another supercell that is south of Tupelo. Notice how there's nothing really in front of or behind that would inhibit its inflow into that cell. So that could be the one that eventually moves into the Itawamba County area, maybe Tishomingo County, eventually into parts of northwestern Alabama. I'm going to stop this real quick and notice how we still have a lot of stuff that's going on down here. But the thing that's happening, I know there's a lot of stuff that's happening up here. This will continue to lift to the northwest or to the northeast. So there's a lot more warm and unstable air that's back down here that's untapped at this point, or it's starting to kind of revamp itself. So this is why we're talking about it's not just one round and done. It's not this little area here in northwest Alabama and that's the only show in town. No, we have this supercell in Tupelo we're going to have to watch. We have another supercell back here near Grenada we're going to have to watch. And we're going to have to watch these supercells that are starting to get their act together across southern eastern part of Mississippi, because all of this will eventually move up into our area. So while we might get maybe a little bit of a break here in between this stuff and the stuff coming in behind it, we're still far from over in regards to the severe weather risk. So that's kind of a broader view again, just kind of back things out to show that even though we have a tornado warning here in Franklin County, we have another one back there in Mississippi, there's still so many cells we have to get through here. So we're going to just have to see how this all plays out. But we're definitely far from the end of things here. And it's not even 2 o'clock yet. This is when we said that window of opportunity was going to start to open up. That's opening up. That's not ending.
Yeah, and with the first tornado warning of the day, it certainly is opened up now. And again, that's the tornado warning until 2:15 for Franklin County. Now, if we get into the situation here where we don't have active tornado warnings for a little bit, and we are in a short lull, I can't promise we're going to have one.
No, the flash flood.
Okay.
That's going to start becoming an issue with this big mass over here.
Yes, I can't promise we're actually going to have any form of a break, but if there is a chance where we don't have tornado warnings for a little bit and we do pause the nonstop coverage to catch a break, catch our breath, reorganize, and get ready for the next round, don't think we're going anywhere. Just want to make that very clear before that might ever possibly even happen.
I think that's just
a double beat. A lot of times those warnings beat twice for a new warning coming out. So, and let's go ahead and look at these flash flood warning polygons and look at where everything is evolving here.
Here, I'll pop up I'll do the warning map real quick. Here you go.
Okay. All right. So flash flood warnings now For Lauderdale County, Franklin County, Colbert County in northwest Alabama, that's going to go until 5 o'clock this afternoon because these storms are going to keep training over themselves. There's also a severe thunderstorm warning that's been extended a little further, so let's get the time of arrival on that. That is, the expiration time. That goes until 2:30, severe thunderstorm warning. Also for most of Lauderdale, Colbert, and Franklin counties. In Franklin County, though, the tornado warning kind of overlaps on top of that. That's going to go until 2:15. A large part of Franklin County in Alabama under tornado warning, like we've been talking about. And that's the reason why we're here nonstop. It's that tornado warning. Notice there are no warnings for the thunderstorm line up into southern middle Tennessee. That's good news. And honestly, we don't want to let our guard down yet, but I do think the window for the long track type threat is closing. For Wayne County, Tennessee, Lewis County, Tennessee, Murray County, Tennessee, and probably Marshall as well. That doesn't mean there can't be tornadoes, but they may be more of that line-embedded kind. Those are still important. Those are still dangerous. Think back to what happened in Tuscumbia back February 15th. A month ago today, line-embedded, smaller tornadoes are still dangerous, but it's looking like that long track top threat is focusing over northwest Alabama, and it may try to creep into southern parts of Lawrence County, Tennessee, southern Giles County, Tennessee, as these pull sharply northeast. Notice they're not moving more easterly. They're moving more sharp northeast, if not northeast. So these would have the potential to come up into areas like Loretto and Minor Hill, up to Pulaski, maybe up to the south side of Lawrenceburg, even though that line is coming up across areas north of Highway 64. So a lot to watch here. This is just evolving. We're several hours from this being done. There's still a level 5 out of 5, high risk of severe weather across northwest Alabama. A level 4 out of 5, moderate risk, which is still significant across southern middle Tennessee. And it's not just tornadoes today. It's damaging straight line winds of 60, 70, 80 miles an hour that can knock down trees and power lines. It's large hail that's a concern. It's flash flooding, which is becoming more of a concern with time now because it's heavy rain that's training on top. We'll switch to fast track here. Chase is tracking that Franklin County storm. You're looking at the Barron Button, Chase, and this is a product that combines the rainfall rates and the hail size and the wind shear all into one display. If we had a strong, tight rotation, we would be seeing these reds and these yellows and these oranges. I'm not seeing that back on the southwest flank of the storm, so that tells me that, yeah, there might be a rotation there that might try to tighten up quickly and produce a tornado, but it's not a really violent circulation yet. Doesn't mean it can't be here over the next several minutes, so we'll watch that. That white that you saw was hail up to the size of 2 inches, possibly being indicated by the radar. That's not a guarantee. That particular algorithm sometimes runs a little hot with those estimates, and I've actually had to go in and manually edit the pixel core values for what those colors mean to try to scale that back a little bit, but sometimes it runs a little hot. But that could be up to 2-inch size hail with that supercell coming into Franklin County. So I just wanted to show that since Chase was watching that. We'll go back to Viper live Doppler radar on links 2. And I see that you're watching the overall situation.
Yeah,
Taylor,
I just kind of backed out.
We'll let you talk about that full screen.
Yeah, I just kind of backed out real quick. Again, I'm kind of bouncing back between watching Franklin County and seeing what's happening downstream because, again, we're just now getting into our window. The window opens because the overall environment starts to get more and more favorable for supercells and tornadoes as we go throughout the afternoon. So what I'm trying to do is get a broad picture to see how things are happening downstream, how those are evolving, because those will eventually move into our area. And I'm still watching supercells that are developing south of Columbus. The big activity so far, and you can even see them from the Columbus NextRad, is down here near Hattiesburg. You've got a tornado warning here for, it's a confirmed tornado in Smith County, Mississippi. You have another confirmed tornado in Jefferson Davis County, Mississippi. And you've got a tornado warning that's not observed in Pike. And then down in Louisiana, you got Washington Parish that has a tornado warning. So these two right here have confirmed tornadoes on it. So what does that tell me? That tells me that the environment down there is very conducive for tornadoes and discrete supercells. and these will eventually track on off to the northeast. Now, they will eventually get into central Alabama, but what happens once they go further than that? Well, they could eventually creep their way into maybe Coleman County, Alabama, maybe a little bit further to the east, who knows? But that's telling me that everything that's going on down here is really starting to get its act together, and especially this supercell near the Philadelphia area. This will eventually move into western Alabama, but eventually could work its way on off to, say, Coleman or eventually Morgan County. So that's kind of where these supercells would eventually end up. And there's so much time in between now and when they get into that part of the state that the atmosphere gets much better for tornadoes. So again, that's why we stress we're just now getting into that beginning time frame where things get a lot more conductive, and we've already seen tornadoes on the ground this morning, and that's not even with the most conductivity, if you will, of the atmosphere so far. So as we go back in here to the Franklin County tornado warning, again, it looks pretty sheared out at this point. I don't know if that's just because it might be getting into slightly less unstable air, or if it's just having a hard time getting its act together. It could be, but again, I'm still bouncing back and forth between watching the Franklin County stuff and seeing what's happening downstream, and I don't see anything that's saying this is going to end prematurely. We're just now getting into that beginning window of opportunity, Fred.
Right. And I think another thing that means back down to the south with all those supercells going tornadic and producing tornadoes now, that means that the main upper air support is spreading northward through central Mississippi now. That means it's not too far away from spreading northward into northwest Alabama. And the cellular elements that we have on the board will start interacting with that upper air support coming in. That will help strengthen them, and it may be like a switch that flips over the next hour or so, where these things go from trying to tighten up and produce a tornado to rapidly producing a tornado that could be large and long track. The tornado threat will rapidly increase with these type of thunderstorms this far north as that upper air support, that lift, the stronger winds and the jet stream level start to overspread our area as the main trough approaches. What you got, Taylor?
So this is from meteorologist John DeBlock down there at the Weather Service in Birmingham. So this is per 911 in Marion County. Franklin County Fire Unit was reporting rotation on Highway 19 in Pilot Hill and Vina from the storm that exited Marion County. So that's not surprising because it's still rotating. But the question I have is, where's that rotation? Is it starting to get lower? Do we have a wall cloud? What's going on? I can tell you that it's starting to kink out a little bit now. You're starting to get this little finger that's poking out. Like I mentioned, the only thing that was really stopping the supercell from producing a tornado was the rear flank downdraft hadn't gotten strong enough to wrap itself back around from that inflow. So that's that initial signature that you would get that tells me that it's really starting to come back around here. So you have inflow coming into the storm, and you're starting to get a little bit more rotation there. And it's not really showing up on velocity, but sometimes your first initial sign is actually going to be on reflectivities. That's right around Glasgow Corner, right there along Alabama Highway 187. So that's something that we'll just have to keep an eye on, but that's one of the little first indications is you get this little bit of a notch that's starting to jut out, and that tells me that it's starting to try to wrap itself back around, Fred.
Right. So we're going to have to carefully watch this. And again, that's coming up on the Franklin County EMA office there on Alabama Highway 187 here over the next couple of minutes. So let's do a storm track pretty sharply northeast and talk about some new times of arrival with this. I want to update that and get those times here with this circulation that's going north-northeast, because that's going to be heading up toward Russellville here over the next several minutes. So we'll get those times. Glasgow Corner 210. Again, this is not for rain and that type of stuff. This is for the rotation that's trying to tighten up and may produce a tornado at any time. Glasgow Corner 210, Bell Green 213, Isbell at 217, downtown Russellville 221, Crooked Oak 223, Fairview 224, Waco at 225. And just a month ago, there was an EF2 tornado in that big line in this area as well. So you guys are familiar with this stuff. Flatwoods 228.
Oh, whoops, sorry. I thought you were done. Let me do that again. Here we go.
Okay. Flatwoods 227, Littleville 228, Newburgh 229, Bethsaida at 232, Colbert Heights 232. We're starting to get into Colbert County. There's not a tornado warning in Colbert County yet, but if it holds together, tornado warning could be required. Mount Hope here in the western part of Lawrence County, Alabama 236, Spring Valley 236, and Flat Rock, Alabama at 236 as well. So again, we're having to watch this very carefully because it's maybe in the process of getting ready to do something, and it's going to be moving up into a populated area here as it approaches Russellville, Alabama.
Yeah, I'm still not seeing any rotation on velocity yet, but again, that signature there where it's starting to jut out a little bit. And just because it juts out doesn't actually mean it's going to wrap around, but it's at least attempting to go in that direction. At the least, you're going to get some potential damaging winds with that surge potentially, and it could be upwards of 60 miles per hour in those cases. So that's, that would be that severe thunderstorm warning criteria at that point. So even if this doesn't wrap itself around and actually produce a tornado, you're probably going to get some pretty gusty winds on that little surge right there.
Right. So that's the situation in...
New tornado warning for Franklin, Lauderdale, Lawrence, and Colbert. So it looks like they're kind of blanketing the supercell, and we'll see when that pops up.
Yeah, they probably see what's trying to happen, and they're probably doing one of these long lead time type tornado warnings here. So it takes a second for the polygon to pop on the map, but new tornado warning that's going to include Lauderdale, Colbert, and
there it is. Wow, it goes up to
Alabama. There we go. All right, this is going to be the Quad Cities areas for this supercell. New tornado warning here that's going to go until 3:15. Did they draw it back into Franklin County again?
They did.
Yeah, because it's going to expire. They extended it till 3:15 here. New tornado warning for north central Franklin County, central Colbert County, central and eastern Lauderdale County in Alabama, and the far northwest corner of Lawrence County in Alabama tornado warning. This does include Florence, Muscle Shoals, Sheffield, and Tuscumbia. I know our Big River media partners in Northwest Alabama have already been taking us live with the Franklin County situation. I know more listeners will likely be joining in with Colbert and Lauderdale counties now under a tornado warning. That's the heart of their listening areas. So if you lose power in Northwest Alabama, tune in to Q107, WQLT, Kicks 96, or Fox Sports Shoals. They will have simulcasting of our live tornado coverage. Again, tornado warning now until 3:15. It does include Lauderdale, Colbert, Franklin, and now northwestern areas of Lawrence County.
I'm just drawing. That's going to be a pretty decent hail core there. So not only is there a tornado threat with this, but there could be hail on the order of a little more than a quarter, maybe closing in on golf ball size with this core right now. Yeah.
All right. So with the new tornado warning, we need to start talking about tornado safety rules. Let's go ahead and hit those up on the big screen. And if you're in the tornado warning, this is what you need to do. You need to be going through your safety plan now in Lauderdale County, in Colbert County, right through the middle of both counties, the Quad Cities, and far northwestern areas of Lawrence County added to that, especially Town Creek to the north of Alabama 101. A basement, a storm shelter, or a certified safe room are the safest places to be, but you don't have to be underground to survive a situation like this. That's the best place to be, but if you're in a site-built structure, go to a small interior room, such as a bathroom, a hallway, or a closet on the lowest floor. You get as low as you can. You get as close to the center of the building as you can, putting as many walls between you and the outside of the building as possible, and you stay away from windows. You cover your head and neck with something hard and sturdy to protect your head and neck from flying debris, and you can't stay in mobile homes and vehicles. You have to leave quickly and head to a sturdy, reinforced structure to get out of the way, and you do that very quickly. You don't lollygag and wait till the last minute on these times of arrival with a tornado bearing down on you at 45, 50, 60 miles an hour. So in these tornado warnings, that's what you need to be doing. We'll go back to the radar here on Viper and look at the rotation here. It's still not curling too much further around, but there's still that broad signature near the Bell Green area on Alabama 24 that's going to be coming up toward the west side of Russellville within the next few minutes, and then riding up US 43 toward Fairview and the Littleville area, and then crossing up here toward Colbert Heights, the White Oak community, Leeton, but as far north as Muscle Shoals, and if it banks a little farther to the north, Florence, and Killen, and St. Florine, and Green Hill, and Elgin, and far east as Rogersville and Anderson, you need to be aware of this. And tornado warning goes all the way up now, deep into Lauderdale County. And let's hold it here and talk about these larger communities that are in the tornado warning. It includes Littleville, and Russellville, and Colbert Heights, and Muscle Shoals, and Tuscumbia, and Sheffield, and Florence. And the tornado warning the tornadic circulation might stay a little south of the Quad Cities, but if it banks a little more northward, it's close enough. You need to be going through your shelter now. Tornado warning goes all the way up to Zip City. I think the circulation is going to stay south of there, but we'll have to watch for additional circulations to develop within this line type feature that's coming through the middle of Lauderdale County now. So we'll continue to watch that. St. Florine is in the tornado warning. Killen, Green Hill, Bailey Springs. The Lexington area is Anderson, Elgin, Aqua Vista, Alabama Shores. The Nitrate City area, Leeton, is in the tornado warning. Elgin, Rogersville, Anderson, you're all in the tornado warning. You need to be going through your tornado safety plan now. And again, that's a small interior room, such as a hallway, bathroom, closet, near the center of the building on the lowest floor, away from windows, putting as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Have to abandon mobile homes, have to abandon vehicles, and go for more sturdy shelter. That's going to be coming up, that broad rotation that may tighten at any minute. That's going to be coming up into the Russellville area here within the next few minutes, and then moving to the northeast sharply from there into the Littleville area up toward Leeton. And I think it may hug the eastern half of this polygon, but as far north as the north central areas of Lauderdale County, you just need to be in your safe place. We have to give wider wiggle room on a day like today because the storms can veer a little to the right, they can veer back a little to the left, and with the situation as it is, with the potential for long track tornadoes, if the storms really get their act together this afternoon, we just have to be a little more cautious than maybe we otherwise would be on a lower threat type day. So that's the situation here with the tornado warning now for central and eastern areas of Lauderdale County, central and eastern areas of Colbert County, Alabama, north central Franklin County, Alabama, and the far northwest corner of Lawrence County, Alabama, that goes until 3:15. Taylor, I see you checking some things. What you got over there?
Yeah, I was just checking the mesoanalysis, and basically what that is the Storm Prediction Center will give, you can actually visualize what the instability is, kind of real time, wind shear. You get all sorts of good parameters to look at. The thing, and I'll try to draw it on here the best I can. If you want to, yeah, there you go, take links full. I'll take the warnings off and the skits. There's a plume of instability that is riding these storms, but as it gets right here, it's really sharply dropping off. And the model guidance is actually overestimating at this point how unstable things are in the shoals. It really doesn't have a lot of instability up there at this moment. But this axis is trying to move further to the north. So that supercell is riding on that instability axis, and sometimes that can allow it to actually produce a greater chance of a tornado if it's kind of on that axis. And it is, so we'll have to watch that. But the big juicy air mass is still back in this area. Instability kind of follows this trend right here. So all of this is very unstable, but it does look like the model guidance is underestimating the northward extent of that instability axis at this point. So the storms that we're seeing are still surface-based. They're still in a good environment to look at or to produce a tornado, but it's trying to limit as far north as it goes, and that's due to all this big heavy rain and storm activity that's blowing up here across parts of northwest Alabama. But again, that instability axis is riding right where this supercell is located, and the shear is starting to increase a little bit more. There's a little more bright green associated with that, and you got that shear marker that just
Yeah, let's go ahead and
popped
click
off
that
there.
skit and get the BTI on that and times of arrival. And you may have to move the boxes around.
Yeah.
If you watched me earlier this morning, you know I had to hand things off to Ben for a little bit because I have had negative 13 hours of sleep this week, so the eyes aren't what they usually are. I've had to increase the font size on the boxes in the storm tracking display today so I can see things a little more clearly for you. So we have to move boxes around like we normally wouldn't. The BTI, the Barron Tornado Index, that's a 0 to 10 ranking that looks not just at the environment but at the radar signature itself. The likelihood of this being able to produce a tornado, which is 6.8 out of 10. Now, a lot of that is because the short-range model data having this favorable environment near the area, but it wouldn't trigger that high if the rotation signature also wasn't getting his act together. Now, the system here has it moving northeast as fast as 68 miles an hour. As the jet stream catches up with it, I can't rule out a 60-mile-per-hour storm motion here. So, safety's sake, we'll go with storm track. It may be a little too fast, but hey, if it's a few minutes too fast, that's giving you a few minutes of extra lead time to get you to the shelter, especially if you're in mobile home. Littleville, 221. White House Springs at 224. Colbert Heights, 225. Spring Valley, 226. Hobgood, 229. The railroad yard there in Sheffield, there's a landmark there that's coming up around 229. White Oak at 229. Muscle Shoals High School and Middle School, we're starting to get into some of our landmarks in Muscle Shoals. That's around 230. McBride Elementary, Highland Park Elementary School, all around 230. Cave Spring at 231. Leeton at 232.
Yeah, let me expand that out. Sorry,
Yeah.
I've got multiple things going on over. Actually, I can't expand that out because that's part of the skit. So
yeah, so over the next 15 to 20 minutes, that's where that's going. And then that's lifting up if it holds together or continues to tighten and strengthen. That's headed up toward places like Elgin and Rogersville and Anderson here in the east side of Lauderdale County. And you're still in a tornado warning. And this is what I was talking about. I thought that it looked like the circulation would hug the south and east half of the polygon. Florence, Muscle Shoals, Tuscumbia, Sheffield as a course of least regret on a day like today, especially with the line coming through and you can get some spin ups. Just go ahead and stay in your safe place. But for that main circulation that's tightening up over Russellville, if you're in Lauderdale County, it's probably going to stay to the east of Florence, but stay in your safe place because of additional spin ups possible in that line right there.
And just checking, again, bouncing back and forth between downstream. You don't have to come to me. You can stay on Fred, but there's still tornado warnings that are starting to pop up further to the south. Again, that's in the Birmingham DMA and their Weather Service office. But again, they're getting more warnings down there, and they could eventually work their way up into our area, Fred.
Yeah. So again, this is far from over. Even though this rain right here is trying to push back against the instability, one thing that's going to happen is with these still lifting sharply northward, the instability is lifting northward with them, and as that upper air support from the south increases, the low-level southerly winds increase too, and that will help shunt that instability on up into the area and continue to make things more favorable. So we'll zoom in tighter here, look at storm relative velocity, see what the circulation looks like here on radar. And again, that's right over the northwest side of Russellville. Here at this time, coming up to the Fairview area, Littleville, it's going to be riding up US 43 for the next 5 to 10 minutes. Then coming up toward the White Oak community, that's out there on 157, where you have the service station and the flashing caution light out there. And then crossing Alabama 20, alternate 72 here between Town Creek and Leeton, right on the county line, if not just a little west of there. And then coming up toward places like the Bethel community, and then up toward maybe Elgin or Rogersville and Anderson if this circulation holds together. And keep in mind, we have a long lead time tornado warning here that goes all the way until 3:15, and that might be tightening back up a little bit there west of Rogersville. Taylor, what do you think?
Let me take a couple of steps back. It looked like it tightened up right there north of Russellville, and it's kind of broadened out a little bit. But yeah, that last scan looked like it tried to come back together. So again, it's if you look at reflectivity, That's kind
That's not in the same place.
It's not in the same place,
okay.
but that does tell me that there's probably more inflow that's coming into the storm.
Right.
So it's again, it's trying to. But the thing that I would kind of stress with this is, again, I mentioned looking at that instability axis. If it's riding along that axis, there could be instances where it will jump off of that and it will lose its surface-based potential, and then it can jump back on the axis and it be fully engulfed in the warm, moist, unstable air mass, and it could produce a tornado. So that's one of the things where if it's riding along that boundary, every now and then it can hop off of it and it will become undercut by the cooler, more stable air, and they can hop back on it and it become in the unstable air once again.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's take the Muscle Shoals camera, and yeah, you got it right there. I saw Kelly pull it up, so that made me think
it's raining like crazy.
Yeah, just conditions ahead of this here. This is the ALDOT camera at the intersection of 43. You hear the lightning here. We'll talk about southern middle Tennessee in a minute. There are no severe thunderstorm warnings in Tennessee, in our counties. There are no tornado warnings. We've been having to focus on the tornado warnings in northwest Alabama. We'll take a break here and reset in just a second. But blinding rain here coming through the Shoals Metro. This is that same camera that caught the Tuscumbia tornado live while we were on air with it back last month. So gusty winds coming through Muscle Shoals here, not seeing anything overly super intense at the moment on the live shot there, but we'll continue to watch that. Let's briefly take southern middle Tennessee on radar and just give people peace of mind that things are okay at the moment up here, because there's a lot of loud thunder and lightning. We'll go to the HTX radar high top. Yep. It'll have a better view of. It's a jumbled line. Really heavy rain, really loud thunder. You heard probably the crash of thunder on my mic from Loretto up through West Point and through Lawrenceburg and Deerfield and Henryville and Center, Summertown to Mount Pleasant to Columbia, headed up to Spring Hill. That's the main line in southern middle Tennessee. That's riding northeastward. None of these storms are severe warned. None of the storms up here in southern middle Tennessee are tornado warned. Thank goodness, considering what today's been capable of. But these could be producing some pea-sized hail and maybe some 30, 40, maybe 50 mile per hour wind gusts. And we'll watch to see if there's a Boeing segment for damaging straight line winds and a severe thunderstorm warning may need to be issued, or we'll watch to see if something tries to circulate and a tornado warning need to be issued here. But none of these are severe in any part of southern middle Tennessee. That's why we're not focusing on you. There are very broad circulations here, but nothing looking especially dangerous at this time. But that could be a sign of maybe some increasing gusty winds, especially here on the north side of Lawrenceburg coming into the Etheridge area and then coming into the Loretta area. Guys, is our live radar attenuated by all this?
I'm about to take a look at it. It is. Big time.
All right. Yeah. See, the deal with X-band, and it's not just our live radar, it's all of them, is because of the frequency it operates on. They're all massively prone to attenuation, to where when you have heavy rain falling on them, you get signal loss. So that's the situation here. Once heavy rain clears out, we'll get the strongest signal back with the radar. But again, none of these storms are severe warned in southern middle Tennessee. None of them are tornado warned. There are some very loose, broad circulations that could be producing some 40, 50 mile per hour winds. That's enough to knock down a few tree limbs or trees on the power lines on a day like today and cause power outages and things like that. And you do need to be inside away from windows, but it's not anything you need to be running with both legs to the storm shelter for. Just want to make that clear.
And Fred, I will say that there is going to be a severe thunderstorm for Lawrence and Giles County.
Okay,
there we
so
go.
Here we go with the first warnings with these in southern middle Tennessee. These are severe thunderstorm warnings now for Lawrence County, Tennessee, and Giles County, Tennessee. We'll get back into northwest Alabama in just a moment, but with the new warning, we do need to talk about this.
You are getting a little bit of that backside wind kind of coming into this.
Yeah, and again, there could be pockets in here where it's 50, 60 miles an hour, and again, we have these new severe thunderstorm warnings being triggered here for Lawrence and Giles counties in Tennessee.
And that is for that wind that's down here.
Okay. Yeah, I fully agree with that. That's going to run until 3:15. That's for the line segment over Loretto that could be producing 60 plus mile per hour straight line winds. Moving off to the east-northeast, I would imagine a good 50-plus miles per hour. So here are times of arrival for that, and it will move across Lawrenceburg. Let's get my times back on the left side, please.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah, that's probably gonna just have to stay over there.
Yeah. Hang on. What was that, Sam? That was emergency manager. What was it? Inch and a half hail reported northwest of Littleville. So that's that hail core I was mentioning down there in the shoals. But
Okay,
go ahead with this.
We'll get back to that in just a second. We need to focus on the new warning first, and then we'll get back to that. So Liberty Grove here, 231. This is for the potential for 60-plus mile per hour wind and maybe some quarter-size hail. But wind is the main deal here. Leoma, 234. Union Hill, 235. Gum Springs, 238. Lawrenceburg, 238. Crossroads, 239. Revelo at 240. New Prospect, 242. Fall River at, that's a new warning in Franklin County severe. We'll look at that in just a moment. New Prospect at 242. Fall River at 245. Pleasant Valley at 248. Bodenham at 248. This is going to include Pulaski as well in just a moment. Liberty Hill, 251. Campbellsville, 254.
There you go.
Olivet at 259. Linville, 303. Let's go ahead and...
So I need to mention this because this is starting to get some damaging. So let's quickly just go back down towards this storm right here. They're still seeing rotation on it, but the thing that's becoming more prevalent is hail. There's baseball-sized hail that's being reported here in Colbert County. So Muscle Shoals, Nitrate City, Leeton, this is where you just need to go ahead and get away from windows as much as you can. You don't necessarily have to go into a tornado shelter, but get towards the center part of your home. Get away from windows, because if you do get a big gust of wind that's blowing this baseball-sized hail in Colbert County, that is going to knock windows out, and that could even injure you if you're close to it, as it will fly through that window and land in your home. So again, that's coming across. That is from Todd Barron at the National Weather Service. He said getting reports of baseball-sized hail in Colbert County, but they're also no confirmation on a tornado yet, but they're getting plenty of reports of people seeing rotation, which is not surprising. But baseball-sized hail, that's going to be probably the biggest issue, at least at this moment, with this storm, Fred.
All right, so switch over to the Barron button right quick so we can isolate specifically where this is. And the Barron button not quite...
It's not there yet.
Could go to the hail size too much, but the brighter pink areas where we're getting the reports of up to baseball size hail, that's on the southeast side of Muscle Shoals. That's coming up here across the railroad yard, right up toward Nitrate City on Alabama 184, coming up toward Ford City, Alabama Shores, coming up toward the Bethel community, coming up toward Leeton, Aqua Vista, then up toward Center Star and Elgin. Now down here closer to White Oak, and off to the north of the Old Bethel community, we're starting to see pockets of wind shear. That's what the red is on the Barron button. So let's go to relative velocity. We have another one back near the Fairview area in Franklin County.
Let me switch back to Columbus. It's going to have a little bit better perspective.
Okay, and some broad rotation in there, but it is starting to trigger things a little bit. So that would be one of the areas we would watch. There's another one back here on the northeast side of Russellville that's coming up toward Waco and Bethsaida. And again, there have been tornado warnings previously in here. Okay, so they've removed the tornado warning for Franklin County. I guess that circulation has moved out. It may be trying to backbuild, so we'll watch that. But Franklin County is down to a new severe thunderstorm warning until 3:15. The tornado warning is for eastern Colbert, eastern Lauderdale, and this far northwest corner of Lawrence County, Alabama, north of Town Creek, up toward Joe Wheeler Dam on Alabama Highway 101. That rotation, if it holds together, would be near Leeton here over the next few minutes. It's near Littleville now, coming up toward Leeton, coming up toward the Rogersville area here over the next 30 minutes or so, if it continues to hold together. But it's really broad. It hasn't tried to tighten up too much. So again, that's the situation in northwest Alabama. And then we have the severe thunderstorm warnings, not tornado warnings, but the severe thunderstorm warnings in south central areas of Lawrence County, Tennessee, and north central areas of Giles County and Tennessee for damaging straight line winds, the main threat of up to 60 miles an hour. But I can't rule out some quarter size hail either. That's going to be coming up toward the Pulaski area here over the next 15 to 20 minutes. You need to be inside away from windows until this passes. In addition to the potential for a flooding threat to increase, and that's going to go on up into Murray County as well. The storms up into Murray County, Tennessee, not severe warned. They're not tornadic at this time, but some really heavy rain falling, and that may continue to increase the flooding threat in those areas. But for right now, the only tornado warning we have is down in northwest Alabama, eastern Lauderdale, eastern Colbert, in far, far northwest Lawrence County, Alabama. Tornado warning running until 3:15. We'll see if they keep that the entire time or if they let that go early. If it doesn't try to tighten up here over several scans, they may deem it safe to let it go. But notice how back here, we were talking about that back building circulation. Notice we are starting to see a curl and a notch back closer to Russellville on the south side of this complex. Everything's broad here, but the structure is improving. We're going to have to watch that carefully. So I know that they let the tornado warning go in Franklin County. I can't rule out the far northeast corner, Russellville up to Fairview, Bethsaida, and Waco. I can't rule out a quick, short fuse tornado warning having to be issued soon over the next few minutes if that tries to tighten up. So just the early heads up for planning purposes so you can be thinking about that. Taylor, what you looking at over there?
So I'm just kind of going through my head, just trying to picture how this could possibly look in the future. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually kind of I like what I'm seeing in aspects of bigger severe weather potential in our area. I think the higher risk is probably now shifting down closer to that I-22 corridor, because everything up here, you're getting a big blow up of rain and storms that's just going to reinforce where that instability acts as. I mean, there's still going to be a push with it. It's still going to try to make its way in here, and it easily could. So I'm not trying to downplay saying, oh, the severe weather potential for our area is over. It definitely is not. But as opposed to the higher end risk, I think we might start to see this pan out in a way where all the stuff starts to be focused a little bit south of our area. It's still a long way to go, but the fact that we're getting this big blow up of rain and storms constantly across our area is giving me a little hope that maybe we could actually get away with this being a big time risk for us here in North Alabama. But unfortunately, down in southern Mississippi and into central Alabama, they have this right here is a confirmed dangerous tornado that is down there in Jasper, Mississippi. That's eventually moving into the Meridian area, and we now have a tornado warning for Sumter County. So I think at least for the near term, the bulk of your big time tornado potential is probably going to be situated in this area right here, at least for the next few hours, just kind of extrapolated out.
Yeah.
But again, we'll still have to watch things in our area, but that's just kind of what I'm seeing. I'm liking what I see in the radar imagery, at least as of right now.
At least for parts of the area. I want to make it very clear, because the threat that you highlighted as the higher threat moving northeastward, that would lift up into places like southern Lawrence County, Alabama, Morgan County, Alabama, maybe southern Limestone County, Alabama. That's still in the viewing area here. These storms back in the shoals, they're not blasting due east to cut these areas off. They're moving more northeast. And the thing is, yes, there's a big blow up of rain here, and the storms coming through the shoals may reduce the threat for the rest of the afternoon for the immediate Shoals Metro once we get this tornado warned storm out of the way. I can't guarantee that with there being so much of a northward component, but should that happen, there's still an open window here, because what will eventually happen, even though there's stuff blowing up, unstable air is still coming north with the supercells to the south. There's still that open window in the southern parts of our viewing area in Lawrence County, Alabama, in Morgan County, Alabama, in maybe it's the southern half of Limestone County, Alabama, over toward the Huntsville Metro, where there's still an open window in these North Alabama areas, and that's where the high risk has been focused today, that level 5 out of 5. So yes, there is some good news, and especially for southern Middle Tennessee, there's definitely some good news in that that high-end tornado threat is shaping up to be mainly an Alabama thing. However, even though it's starting to shift south of the Quad Cities immediate Shoals Metro, despite the tornado warning in place, it's not shifting completely out of the viewing area for the entire duration of the threat. So we still got to remain on alert. Just want to make that clear. Everything Taylor said is 400% correct, but there's a stipulation that needed to be added to it. It's very clear that the high-end tornado threat is not over yet for a few of our North Alabama counties.
Yes. Yeah, definitely stressing that's not downplaying, saying we are completely done, but things are looking pretty good in terms to the northward extent of that potential
We're just
risk.
limiting the area where the higher end threat's panning out is what we're doing. Gusty straight line winds coming across Lawrence County, Tennessee, about to move into Giles County, Tennessee. So let's go to HTX and we'll focus in on these areas for a moment. And then we'll focus back into the tornado warning. It's still broad down there. That's why I'm going to take a minute. Let's zoom in a little closer here. And that is looking broad, but we'll need to watch that near the Fall River area and toward crossroads in eastern portions of Lawrence County as it lifts up into Giles County, places like Bodenham, Pulaski, Crescent View, as far south as Oak Grove, Aspen Hill, over toward Olivet, and the Brick Church and Beach Hill and Frank Ewing and the Bunker Hill areas. There is a severe thunderstorm warning here, but that broad circulation is starting to get more of a cyclonic look to it instead of it just being broad and noisy. So we'll have to watch that to see if that tries to tighten up. If it were to tighten up, I can't completely rule out the tornado warning having to be issued in these areas, but until 3:15, severe thunderstorm warning here for southeastern and eastern areas of Lawrence County, Tennessee. I think the main threat is from Lawrenceburg and Etheridge south in the county and from Highway 43 east, and then across a large part of central and northern Giles County, including Pulaski. That's the threat from that storm right there. So we'll focus back into the tornado warning that we have in Northwest Alabama. Taylor, if you see something you need to interrupt me with, go ahead.
I don't have anything right now, so yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so some noisy structure here. It's hard to pick out anything that is trying to scream tornado. I don't see anything that looks especially dangerous. We do have a broad-ish circulation. Needs to watch over Leeton. That looked like that might have been trying to tighten up there on the storm relative. And that's in the tornado warning, and that's right where we were tracking the rotation. So, stay in your shelters here, stay in your tornado shelters. That may be trying to do something.
Let's go over to Lynx 3 real quick, guys. We got a wall cloud that looks like it's developing near the Hatton area. I'm trying to see where this is looking. I think it's looking in this general area right here. If you can see, Fred, where I don't think you have my radar display, but do what?
I'll check on it for you.
Are you checking on? Okay. It looks like it's looking back towards the White Oak and Old Bethel area.
Yeah, so you're seeing that circulation.
I'm seeing that circulation back there. So that's that. Everything with this storm, and the Weather Service has talked about it, that's why they're continuing the tornado warning, is because there's still rotation with this stuff. It's not really getting tight enough to where you're actually getting tornadoes being produced on the ground.
Yeah.
But it's definitely there. Let me look at the reflectivity. There is a little bit of a notch that you're seeing there looking back into that storm. I'm pretty sure that it's looking at Old Bethel and White Oak, and Chase is looking at another radar source. We're not able to show it on air, but are you seeing anything on that looks suspicious?
I'm seeing the shear line, right? Kind of the interface of this.
Yeah.
But, it's sort of, it being a shear line, kind of stuff all up the line. Nothing particularly stands out right now, but I'll keep a close eye.
Okay, so here's what I want to do. Come back to me on the wall. Let's take, in the main frame, let's take Lynx 2 behind me, and then let's double box me with the Skycam from Lynx 3. Let's take that double box, the multi-box situation, because I want that Skycam up in the corner, and I'll be able to watch it in my monitor here in case we see something tighten up. You guys watch the live output over your heads because you can see it a little easier than I can. let's go ahead and do a storm track on that circulation.
That's what I was getting close.
And get some times of arrival here.
Yeah, just trying
ahead
to position
of that.
it.
And that's why I wanted to take the double box for a minute. These are the times of arrival for the wall cloud and that developing circulation. White Oak area, 243. It's near you now. Town Creek, 251. Bethel at 253. Linden Hill, 254. North Cortland at 256. Red Bank at 258. Cortland proper, 258. The Wheeler Dam Village area at 3 o'clock. Ferry Vista Shores at 302. Jerusalem, 305. Rogersville, 306. Whitehead, 309. And Flower Hill, 310. Be in your shelters. Tornado safety plan. Small room, lowest floor, near the center, away from windows. We can go full screen out of the double box, and we can we'll watch Skycam full on Links 3 here for the next few minutes and see what happens.
And while they're getting that set up, this is from the Weather Service in Huntsville. Just a quick overall update. The misty showers ahead of the supercells in northwest Alabama is likely helping cut off some of the inflow that could be realized further east at the moment. However, we still got baseball-sized hail out of one storm. We're still watching the area of clearing in eastern Mississippi since we still have instability and a lot of wind shear to tap into. If any cell can tap into that, it will intensify rather quickly as it moves across the state line. So that is from the Weather Service in Huntsville. So that just, again, reemphasizes that, yes, while this in the immediate term is cutting off some of the inflow to these storms up in northwest Alabama, the show's not over yet. Again, our window of opportunity opened up at 2, and it is 2:43. So we're way away from giving an all clear to anybody in our viewing area. But that's just a quick update that, at least in the near term, a lot of the shower and storm activity going on in northwest Alabama is helping the cause, but it's not over yet. Fred?
Yeah, so we'll watch this carefully here over the next few minutes. A broad wall cloud is what this looks like. This is. And again, rotations, it hasn't tightened up terribly here, but you have to watch things very vigilantly on a day like today.
We do have I was just told there's a report of did you say apartment fire? Apartment fire in Moulton due to a lightning strike.
Oh, wow. Okay, so yeah, that's another concern with all these storms because you have such cold air aloft that creates friction motion with all the ice in the upper parts of the clouds. Because it's so cold aloft, you get a lot of lightning with these storms, and by definition of a thunderstorm, there's lightning involved, so that's a concern as well. But we're watching a broad wall cloud here in far eastern areas, hugging kind of that area of eastern Colbert County, far northwest areas of Lawrence County, Alabama. Doesn't look like anything is under that at this time, but we're watching carefully just in case. I do like what I'm seeing as far as the wind direction here, because what's happening, we're looking off to the northwest and looking into that circulation, the live sensor. This is live sensor data here. It's a west-northwest wind of 8 miles per hour. So that's telling me that may very well be outflow dominant. Mm-hmm. So that's definitely a good sign. That would explain why that's not tightening up just yet, so that would certainly be good news. We'll go back to Links 2, and we'll track this on radar here. And again, it's an
severe thunderstorm for that hail-producing supercell here in the shoals.
Okay. So are they leaving the tornado warning intact, or what are they doing?
It looks like they are. They're going to let it ride, because I think it expires at 3:15. Okay, well, that's another 30 minutes. So they might...
let's see what they do with the polygon. This may be a replacement, is what
I think
this
it's
is.
a replacement. They haven't said anything on the tornado warning yet, but
Okay.
Also, this is from Franklin 911. Deputy reporting flooding in the area of Highway 524 and Highway 49 in the Belgreen community. That's due west of Russellville. So again, flooding's probably becoming a much bigger concern. And yes, they are going to be replacing that with a severe thunderstorm warning.
All right, and that's going to go over into a large part of northern Lawrence County, Alabama, and the large part of Limestone County in Alabama as well. So that's a new severe thunderstorm warning until 3:45 here for the eastern part of Lauderdale, northeast Colbert, northern Lawrence County in Alabama, and central and northern Limestone County in North Alabama for that embedded supercell thunderstorm that the rotation has broadened and it's gotten messy, but this thing has had reports of confirmation of baseball-sized hail. They have what's called a considerable tag on this warning. That means that it's capable of some damage because of the hail here being this large in size. In addition, flooding threat is increasing over northwest Alabama. There are background flash flood warnings, and a new one is being issued in southern middle Tennessee now for Giles, Lawrence, Murray, and Marshall counties. So flash flooding threat is becoming more widespread and more significant as well. Let's hit the watch warning map and just a reset overview of where all the warnings are.
Say that again. The
watch warning map,
watch
please.
Warning map. Sorry, just trying to get information from.
Yeah, it's air traffic control. I get it.
We're getting a lot of flooding reports now, so flooding is going to start becoming pretty prevalent across the area.
Yeah, so as of right now, we've lost the tornado warning that we had for northwest Alabama. Doesn't mean it can't come right back. And then we have to watch the storms down to the south that are coming up into the area. Let's leave the DMA view where it is, because I want to focus on the warnings in the DMA. We'll do the whole regional thing in a minute. And you may have to go out of it and
I'm coming back in. Yeah. There you go.
All right, so severe thunderstorm warnings here stretch from southeastern and eastern areas of Lawrence County, Tennessee, through the northern three-quarters of Giles County in Tennessee, the northern three-quarters of Limestone County, Alabama, the eastern half of Lauderdale County, Alabama, the eastern half of Colbert County, Alabama, and the northern third of Lawrence County, Alabama, and just about all, except for the far, far east part of Franklin County, Alabama. That's the yellow polygons. Then you have these green polygons. Those are flash flood warnings. That's becoming a significant threat. You have that in far northern Murray County, near the Spring Hill area. You have that in the far southern area of Murray County, from Mount Pleasant over to Culleoka, that clips Lewisburg to Cornersville in Marshall County. All of Lawrence County, Tennessee in a flash flood warning now. All of Giles County, Tennessee in a flash flood warning. And given the heavy rainfall rates, there's probably going to be a warning right through the middle of Murray County in the Columbia area. They just haven't pulled the trigger on it yet. Flash flood warnings down in the northwest Alabama, along and west of Highway 43 in Lauderdale County, Colbert County, Franklin County in northwest Alabama, and the southern 2/3 or so, well, 40%, I would say, or so, from Tishomingo south in Tishomingo County, Mississippi. Those are flash flood warnings. The dark red in the background, those are tornado watches across the area until 6 o'clock for Tishomingo County, until 8 o'clock for all of North Alabama, and until 9 o'clock for Middle Tennessee. Hardin County, Tennessee, no longer in the tornado watch, and the tornado watch over North Alabama is still a PDS watch, particularly dangerous situation for that heightened higher end type tornado threat that's still in play across parts of North Alabama, especially Lawrence County, Alabama, Morgan County, Alabama, Limestone County, Alabama, as some of the storms work up into the area here over the next few hours. Nothing imminently looking like that caliber of tornado threat, but additional storms moving in may be able to pull that off, as that's where the more unstable air will be sitting this afternoon. So we'll be watching it carefully. That's the overview of the warnings. Taylor, I'm going to step off screen. We'll let you at the pod, but ever talk about what you're watching on radar.
Yeah, I mean, still, I definitely stress that this is far from over, but things are looking more promising, and just hearing some things going on in the background, people talking about different, just part of the mesoanalysis and everything. It looks like what was supposed to kick out and talk about the trough and everything, the way that it kicked out, it actually looked like it dug a little further to the south. And what made that transpire, so to speak, from the storm aspect is you end up getting a lot more discrete supercells down across southern Mississippi that will eventually make their way into parts of southern and central Alabama. On the flip side, what happened is you're getting a lot more forcing, a lot more uplift in our area that's not as subtle, and you end up getting just this big blow up of rain and storms. And what that has done is it's basically stopped that instability axis from continuing further to the north. It's kind of acting as a rain-cool boundary, so to speak, almost like a little cold front. And it's becoming harder and harder every single time I look to see if it's trying to nudge. It's really not nudging at all. And if you just keep getting this redevelopment of showers and storms, it's going to make it harder and harder for that instability axis to punch up further north. That doesn't mean that we're out of the clear. I want to emphasize that. That's just looking at everything that's going on right now. This is all part of what we call nowcasting. We're looking at the radar. We're looking at the observations. We're looking at how everything's starting to transpire here, and everything is looking like, at least for the near term, this is becoming more of a severe thunderstorm and flood risk. What you got, Fred?
Go fast track, please, and pull me full screen.
Oh, I see exactly what that is.
Fast track, please. On source 4. This is on the north side of Pulaski. This broad circulation that we've been watching, looking a little more suspicious here on the high top radar. You have your outbound winds. Keep in mind that radar is back in northern Jackson County, Alabama. Your outbounds are like this, or the Brick Church area. Your inbounds are near Olivet. That's a broad but maybe tightening circulation here on the north side of Pulaski. That's alternate 31, that's 31A, that runs from Pulaski up toward the Cornersville and Lewisburg area. It's just to the north of there, pulling off to the northeast. So let's do a track, guys, from just ahead of that circulation. Let's go up to the northeast at, I guess they've been moved 45, 50 miles an hour up in here. It's sharply more northeast than that for sure, yeah. There you go, up toward the Lewisburg area. All right, so Oddfellows Hall coming in at 253, Blue Creek at 257, Cornersville 303, Newtown at 304, Wilson Hill at 305, the Yale Community at 306, Duncanville at 309, Cochran at 309, the Rolling Hills Community at 310, White Acres at 310, Hillcrest at 310, Fairview at 310. See if we can work down that or filter that out a little bit so that we can get Lewisburg and Farmington into the list, please.
All right. There you go.
Okay, so let's see. So Coleman Heights here at 312. 312 also for Lewisburg proper. Hickory Heights 313. Needmore 313. Wallace Acres at 313, Orrs at 314, Whitehead at 314, and Belfast at 314. Probably closer to 315 to 320 for the farming community. Again, that's the rotation we'll watch. Not necessarily tornadic, but that's the kind of quick spin type thing you have to watch on a day like today. And there is a severe thunderstorm warning continuing for northern parts of Giles County until 3:15. It looks like they have removed Lawrence County, Tennessee from that severe thunderstorm warning. That looks a touch tighter. If we clear off the track here on fast track, that looks a touch tighter. So we'll have to watch that.
Sorry to interrupt you, but we're watching the Pulaski cam, and it's just been whipping there. We've probably
go to it.
Yeah, I'm
pull up the Pulaski
That's
cam.
on 3, and this is actually one of the relatively calmer points of it so far. We've probably seen gusts 60 to 70 on this so far, keeping a very close eye on this. I mean, you can see that streaming rain through here. It's just remarkable, remarkable stuff. And that kind of overlaps with that corridor that we were watching there on Fast Track.
So
I don't know how up to date that observation is, but that's a dew point of 55. So that might get pretty tough to get a tornado to form from that.
Yeah,
but I don't know how up to date that observation is.
That's not a regional. I think that's right there on the hill, and that's into the rain cooled air.
Yes.
Because there are observations there on that. The circulation is off to the north and east of it. It may be in higher dew point air off to the east.
That just changed to 54. So, yeah, that's up to date right now. So, yeah, that's definitely on that back side of things.
Yeah. So that there's likely a more unstable air mass, maybe not by a whole lot, but out ahead of it that it's working into. And then here's the rain-cooled air that's with the storm itself. They're panning around trying to look through the tower itself. This is on the Fort Hill area.
New severe from Marshall Murray. That goes till 3:45.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and flip you to back 3 here. Oh, that's 2. All right.
Yeah, so that's that broad but suspicious signature. The rotation northeast of Pulaski on 31A. Let's go to Viper.
You're on Viper right now?
Yeah, you're on Viper.
Okay. Oh, all right. Yep, sorry about that. We're waiting on this new polygon here that's going to include Southern Murray, I think, and portions of Marshall County. Severe thunderstorm warning. I bet it's this radar signature here. That's until 3:45. A severe thunderstorm warning. We're waiting on the polygon to come off.
I'm seeing, there it is. Yeah, they did a huge one going up towards Murfreesboro.
So that's going to be on the southeast side of Columbia. That will include Fountain Heights and Culleoka up to the Pottsville and Lee's Corner area. You know those areas well back from May 8th of last year. And then pretty much the entirety of Marshall County from left to right and top to bottom in use severe thunderstorm warning until 3:45 for the potential for some straight line winds up to 60 miles per hour. But we're going to have to watch that little circulation there northeast of Pulaski on 31A. That's a little suspicious, so we're going to have to watch that carefully. Let's go back into northwest Alabama because we've been here for several minutes now. Need to go look at our other storms. And I do start to see a bowing structure here on coming out of Lauderdale into Limestone with that what's been that supercell. So there's likely an increasing damaging wind threat. This is that same supercell that produced the baseball size hail back into Colbert County. And there may be a broad rotation here just to the southeast of Anderson here, south of Alabama 99, east of 207, crossing the county line over in the western Limestone County. We'll go back to the reflectivity and look at the structure here. And yeah, you see a little bit of bowing, and you also see a little bit of a curl here on the north side. So that could be a damaging wind axis, and that could be a circulation we'll watch. So let's do a squall track just ahead of that and carry it off more to the, I think that's moving a little more east-northeast now, more than likely. That's going to be moving up toward the Ardmore area, and we might be watching some conditions on our new Ardmore Skycam as it gets closer here over the next several minutes. But here's some storm track time of arrivals. The Cairo Community, 3 o'clock. Mount Brazil at 3:01. Lester at 3:02. Ripley, 3:03. Hickory Hills at 3:04. Gypsy at 3:06. Cartwright, 3:07. Gordesville, 3:07. Legtown, 3:08. Blackburn, 3:09. Prospect at 3:15. Elkmont, 3:15. Athens at 3:16. Piney Chapel at 3:19, and Thatch at 3:22. I think we're transitioning from the hail threat we had to more of a straight line wind threat, and then we may have to watch out for a small spin up that tries to go here. There's not a tornado warning, but there is this severe thunderstorm warning that runs until 3:45. They do have a tag on it that says a tornado is possible. They do that not because it's doing a tight rotation. They do that as an extra lead time type thing to let you know, hey, watch this storm. We may have to upgrade to a tornado warning if things continue. So we'll watch that. Let's go back down the line to Franklin County. That's the next severe storm we have on the board.
I think that's actually a leftover severe thunderstorm warning at that point.
Let's go to GWX to make sure. And yeah, it's just rainy mess in here. I think there may be some 40, 50 mile per hour winds, but I don't see structure that supports severe level winds. I haven't seen reports come out of that. I don't see structure that reports severe hail, and I don't see structure that supports a tornadic circulation. So that may be more of a leftover from earlier type situation with Franklin County. Yeah, Taylor, what you got?
Another update from the Weather Service in Huntsville. Again, they're actively, we're all watching, nowcasting again, like we're talking about, watching things and seeing how things could progress. And so Todd Barron says another quick update, looking at the instability for North Alabama, it drops off a fair amount compared to areas to our south. The messy areas, the showers are helping to limit that a bit. Now it's not reduced to a insignificant amount, and we still have the potential to support strong updrafts with plenty of shear, but it will be a more struggle, or it will be able to. He kind of worded it.
It will be more of a struggle.
It'll be more of a struggle, yeah. It'll be more of a struggle to sustain supercells in North Alabama and Southern Tennessee. So we're putting a focus on the front at the potential on the backside of these storms to see if anything develops with the cold front itself. So they're not letting their guard down with any of these storms, but they are seeing a reduced threat of sustained supercells that would be producing our long-track violent tornadoes. So this looks to be...
If we are walking away from that, we haven't dodged a bullet. It's the equivalent of throwing a lit match into a container of gasoline, but you throw it so hard that instead of igniting, it falls too quickly into the gas and it snuffs out the flame. That's how volatile of a situation we've missed if that's what's happened, and this is stepping away from the high-end tornado threat. It is way too soon to back off and like let our guard down. But if we're going to miss that caliber of threat, it's like throwing a lit match into a can of gasoline, but you throw it too hard, and instead of it having oxygen to ignite, you snuff it out because it falls too quickly into the gas. That's the analogy of what this is, and that would be a blessing. And honestly, given what we've seen, not just on the small scale the past 24 to 48 hours, but for the past week and longer, watching this all the way to the global scale and how this looks similar to other years that produced big outbreaks, if that's what's happening, I honestly believe a little bit of that may be divine intervention, to be quite honest with you, because that was how volatile of a situation this was adding up to be. It's not over yet, but we always like to look for good news, not to sound a premature all clear, but to watch things evolve in real time, because as you know, weather forecasting, nobody's been to the future yet. So even a high confidence thing isn't a 100% confidence thing. And I'm telling you, every molecule, every scrap of data we've had has been screaming at us at the top of its lungs for days, danger, danger, danger. And that's why, you know, we hesitated earlier in the week to use a stronger wording, but that's why we went ahead and we felt it was necessary to pull the trigger. That tells me it's not over yet, however, because that is coming up toward North Alabama. But for the immediate term, and especially the Tennessee side of the state line, it's really looking like we've probably dodged the long track tornado bullet in Tennessee. And unless this can somehow shift back north and get the unstable air north, we may have also dodged the long track tornado bullet in the immediate Shoals metro area as well. I don't want to sound the all clear on that yet, but it's certainly not all clear in places like Moulton, Hartselle, Decatur, and Athens over toward the Huntsville area. But with the rain falling in and developing over itself, even though we have supercells coming north, things may be trending in a better direction. We'll watch this here over the next couple hours. Taylor, what you got?
Looks like the Elgin area, that golf ball size hill, is that what you're talking about?
Okay.
No, the multiple trees and power poles down along Highway 1.
Oh, I see where you're at now.
Let's take Taylor, y'all, please.
Yeah, so reports of this is Linger Lost Road, washed out 1 mile south of Highway 72 near Chamberwell. Also, multiple trees and power poles down on Highway 101 between Kingstown and Lexington. So it does appear that, again, not just a flood risk, but we're also getting that potential damaging wind risk as well. So again, even though for parts of the area it might be shifting more towards flooding and maybe some damaging winds as opposed to big time tornadoes, you're still getting impacts from this, and we're not done with the rain and storms. So there could be more flooding for parts of northwestern Alabama, including the Shoals, even up into parts of southern Tennessee. But on top of that, you could get these instances of damaging winds because there's so much wind shear, there's so much wind energy in the atmosphere that it's not going to take much for a storm to bring that down to the surface. You get 60 or 65 mile per hour wind gust. Now, again, looking back from the other storms that we're talking about down near, again, these are in the Birmingham area, but these will eventually move up into our area, talking about Moulton, Hartselle, Coleman, you guys over there towards the Interstate 65 corridor. There's still areas of rotation here. This one's in Pickens County. This one's going to be a Tuscaloosa situation. This is going to go this way. It's going to miss our area completely. But this one just to the east of Columbus in northern Pickens County, this will eventually move up into parts of Marion and Winston, and then that'll eventually move into parts of northern Alabama. So again, I want to stress that while it could be that this area here in northwest Alabama is looking a lot better in regards to a big-time severe weather risk, we still have a lot of these supercells down here to the south, and they will have to move into our area, and there's still a real chance that this could bring that next push of unstable air with it, and we do end up getting some tornado potential. This could be a few hours down the road, but again, that's to stress that we are not done with this yet, but at least in the near term, things are looking pretty good. Fred?
Yeah, we'll take links 1, and Kelly has a few viewer pictures. Are you mic'd up, Kelly? I'm sorry.
Yes,
I'm
I
sorry
am.
to put
Sorry.
you on the fly.
Sorry. Yes, I'm beginning some viewer pictures. We've, been getting reports of up to baseball-size hail in parts of Colbert County. Here is a photo. This is about, it's not exactly lined up, but it's about 2 inches in diameter, that bottom hailstone right there. Thanks to our viewer, Erica Willis, for sending that in. Again, that's from Colbert Heights. That has already passed through. That's that storm that had a severe
Tornado
thunderstorm
warning for Limestone County.
We're going to go ahead and cover that tornado warning.
Kelly.
Sorry, Kelly.
We're going to pop Fred back on.
Abracadabra. All right,
Magic,
so
yeah.
new tornado warning here for sorry, Kelly. New tornado warning here for northern areas of Limestone County in Alabama. It's from Athens northward here. Let's get what we're going to get and let's focus in on this. All right, so here's your new polygon, and I bet it's the rotation here near the Gypsy area. That's what I'm seeing at least. That would be moving off to the east, northeast, guys. What's the motion on that?
They've got it at 35 miles per hour.
Okay, that would be moving up to places like Elkmont, Piney Chapel, Thatch, Pisgah, Pinedale, eventually the Ardmore area. It's really noisy, to be honest with you.
That's so. Chase is looking at another source there. Let me clear that. Where exactly is that located, Chase? Is that due west of Athens?
Yes.
All right. So there's a. So if I can see it in reflectivity, it might be a little bit better. There's a notch that he's seeing on one of the other radar sources that looks to be right here. Is it near the Blackburn area? Is that close to? I don't know if you're able to see.
That would be 8 miles due exactly west.
All right, so 8 miles due west of Athens. So that's going to be back in here. So
Probably a little closer east now because you got to think about the delays. So probably more about 4.
Okay, so it's going to be here between Cox and Blackburn, but there is
so
a developing
moving
tornado
more
here.
sharply northeast then, or what's the deal?
East-northeast.
East-northeast.
It's actually kind of right compared to what we've seen today.
See, it's the reason I'm asking if that's what the warning was issued for.
I think so.
That's hugging the far southern 20%. Yeah, I see it. That's hugging the far southern 20% of the polygon that's drawn. And like a large part of the polygon back on the northwest side of it would never see the circulation. That's just why I'm trying to figure out what's going on here.
Yeah, I think they based that off of armor data.
Okay. Yeah. And we can't show ARMA data, but we have partnership access to where it's legal for us to watch that behind the scenes. That's the type of situation that's the UAH research radar there. It provides a lower level situation and it has a clear velocity signature. I was trying to understand what was going on with how the polygon was drawn versus where that tighter low level rotation was. But that's going to be out here between Coxie and Blackburn near the Clements area on US 72, coming off to the northeast here at, you guys said 35 miles an hour?
Yes, that's at 35 right
Okay,
there.
so here are the times of arrival. Blackburn at 3:12, Hickory Hills at,
That's all severe thunderstorm warnings.
yeah, we'll get them in a minute here.
Yep.
Hickory Hills at 3:13, Cartwright at 3:16, Gypsy at 3:18, Piney Chapel at 3:25, the Elkmont area at 3:26, Thatch at 3:32, Prospect at 3:35, Pisgah at 3:37. Let's carry it out 45 minutes and get. That's a lot of beeping going on.
They're issuing severe thunderstorm warnings right now like crazy.
Okay. So Pinedale at 3:40, Ardmore at 3:40, Elkton at 3:43, Maple Hill at 3:43, Tony at 3:45, and Elkwood at 3:49. What you need to do now is be going through your tornado safety plan. That's a small interior room, such as a bathroom, a hallway, or a closet on the lowest floor near the center of a site-built structure away from windows. Tornado warning goes as far south as Athens. So as far south as Athens, I want you in shelter. So we'll zoom in a little bit closer and talk about some specific towns here that show up. So from Clements and Blackburn to Athens, up Alabama 99 that runs from Athens to Cartwright to Gypsy, be in your shelter. Alabama 127, that's the road that runs from Athens all the way up toward the Elkmont area and then goes over into Giles County, be in your shelter. Piney Chapel, Sardis Springs, up toward Pisgah, up toward the Pinedale area in Ardmore, and the Thatch community, be in your shelter now. Small room, lowest floor, hallway, bathroom, closet, lowest floor near the center, away from windows, cover your head and neck. to protect yourself from flying debris. You need to be out of mobile homes. You need to be out of vehicles. With this tornado warning now that has been issued for the central and northern part of Limestone County, that's going to go until 3:30 for a circulation that was at the time of issuance out there on US 72 near Clements and Blackburn, moving off to the northeast about 35. It's tougher to see in the next rad data because it's farther away. We're looking higher up. That UAH radar is looking lower, and just like with December 28th, it may be a shallow circulation. The circulation that produced the Athens tornado December 28th was only 2,000 feet tall. The next rad beam in over top Athens is over 3,000 or 4,000 feet tall, just off the top of my head. So that's the reason it overshot it. And National Weather Service in Huntsville that night did not have live real-time access to the Armor radar. So that's why they were not able to issue the tornado warning. That's why that's a similar situation to where why I can't see a tight circulation on NextRad, but we can see it on the UAH radar. So there are several more severe thunderstorm warnings. I'm just going to call out the counties. We'll look at them in a second. We have in our viewing area, Tishomingo County has been re-added to a severe thunderstorm warning back in Mississippi until 4 o'clock. It also includes surrounding Alcorn, Itawamba, Lee, and Prentiss in Mississippi. We also have a new severe thunderstorm warning for Colbert and Franklin counties in North Alabama that goes till 4:15. And we still have that severe thunderstorm warning for southern areas of Murray and central and southern areas of Marshall County in Tennessee. That runs until 3:45 as well. All of those are gusty straight line wind situations. This is a tornado warning situation here. Let's go ahead and hit the DMA button and just look at a reset overview and just see where these polygons are. And apparently, even back in the rain mass, let's go to the GWX radar. There are new developing severe storms back into the rain mass. Now, since they're falling in the rain-cooled air, it would be a lot harder for them to overcome that to produce a tornado. But you're still in a tornado watch. You do need to pay attention to what's going on there. But we have multiple new severe thunderstorm warnings in northwest Alabama and northeast Mississippi. In addition to that original severe thunderstorm warning, it looks like that squall line that developed, that is about to move out of Marshall County, Tennessee, over into Bedford County. That would be moving out of our viewing area. That's getting east of 31A, east of the Lewisburg area and Farmington and Chapel Hill area. So another 10 minutes and that line segment won't be an issue. The Giles County warning shouldn't be on the board for too much longer because the severe storms there have moved out. So the clusters of gusty winds and small hail back in the Colbert and Franklin counties, especially western and central Franklin County, southern Colbert County, with a new severe thunderstorm warning until 4:15, and then western Tishomingo County with a hail and gusty wind threat, quarter-size hail, 60-mile-per-hour winds. Not really thinking that's too much of a tornado threat with the rain-cool air. The main focus here immediately is likely going to be Limestone County, where we have that tornado warning. Taylor, what are you seeing over there?
Basically the same thing you're seeing, Fred. I mean, it's the only tornado warning we have in our immediate viewing area is the one north of Athens. And again, that was based off of Armor data from what we believe, because that was in that general area.
Yeah.
That one, I don't know, Chase, is it still, and it doesn't look like it's there at all. So there's just some broad rotation, more like a shear axis that's going on here as we get close to the I-65 corridor from the Tennessee state line all the way down towards the Athens exit right there along Highway 72. But still, again, looking downstream, because, again, I want to stress, even though we aren't seeing, a big-time tornado blow up here in North Alabama, there's still cells that are off to our south that we will have to watch. And there's one that is the closest to our viewing area is this one that's getting into Marion County. There's no active warning on it. It does have a little bit of rotation, but again, it's moving north, and some of this air could be a bit rain-cooled, so it's possible that this will struggle to really do anything, but it is a supercell that we'll have to watch. South of that, there's one that's in Lamar County that's near Vernon, and that will eventually work its way on into Fayette County. And then if it continues on into our viewing area, it could impact parts of Lawrence County, Alabama, the Moulton area, and Morgan County, Alabama. And then the one behind that one's going to be more of a central Alabama issue. We're not going to be dealing with that. That's getting close to the Tuscaloosa area. Still storms off to our west. I'm not seeing anything that's big-time rotation with them. There's definitely some damaging wind potential and some hail, but I don't see anything screaming at me,
Right.
tornado, tornado, tornado. The only immediate concern I would have would be with this supercell here coming out of Marion County and then the one behind it. But again, you see what's out ahead of it. There's a lot of rain out here.
Yeah.
So it might struggle to actually do anything, but we'll still
Yeah.
have to watch things as we go throughout the day.
We will, and the Storm Prediction Center does agree. Their new day one outlook came out for the afternoon, and it still maintains the high risk level 5 out of 5 as far north as places like Lawrence County, Alabama, and Morgan County, Alabama, and then back through central Alabama into southeast Mississippi. For these supercells here that south of the training rain mass from the Shoals to Athens, they still think, just like Taylor and I do, that even though there's some working over here, we still, as a course of least regret, have to watch these supercells that are coming northward out of central Alabama, because it's too volatile of an environment. It's not a guarantee, but when you're dealing with such high-end potential intensity, you have to do things for safety's sake that may be a little risky for verification, but there's too much danger in not doing it and then it happening. So that's the situation there, while they're maintaining that level 5 out of 5 risk for Lawrence County, Alabama, and Morgan County, Alabama, and then the level 4 risk north of that with these storms here for the next few hours. They are lowering the risk, but not removing it, back into the Shoals, back into Lawrence County, Tennessee, and Wayne County, Tennessee, into northeast Mississippi as this cluster shifts to the east. So a lot of this is robbing the energy for a tornado threat back behind it. In the short term focus going to be these storms and then the ones down to the south. But there's still severe thunderstorm warnings for storms back into North Mississippi, and then Colbert and Franklin counties have severe thunderstorm warnings. Guys, you are watching the UAH radar. I can't see that. We've lost the circulation on that?
Yeah, it's not there anymore.
Okay, so with that the case, I wouldn't be surprised if they cancel that tornado warning early. Yeah, it expires in just over 10 minutes anyway. They may let it ride, or they may cancel it a few minutes early, but we're losing the signs of circulation with that. With it being embedded in a rain mass like that, it is more likely to be more of a spin-up type situation where they spin up and then they go away after a few minutes. So we'll watch that very carefully.
Real quick,
Yeah.
City of Sheffield has 823 residents without power, and Colbert Heights community has 762. So not sure if that's due to wind or lightning, but
Right.
they do have power outages over there.
Okay. Yeah, and I imagine there may be more widespread power outages than that over other parts of northwest Alabama, probably even southern middle Tennessee, if not for wind damage, for all this lightning that's come across the area with these electrical storms this afternoon. So,
Hey, let's go ahead and take the Ardmore cam.
okay.
We hadn't done that yet. This is our new Ardmore camera that is it at the utilities place? Is it at Ardmore Utilities?
It's a water tower there on the west side of town on the Tennessee side. It's one of the big water towers there.
Okay, well, this is looking west down into that tornado warned
Okay.
storm, and I don't really see anything on that. I looked briefly. It looked like there might have been a slight lowering right there in the middle, but again, it's kind of hard to tell exactly what's going on. But the rain's really starting to come down here. But and look at that dew point, 61. So that's on that fringe
Yeah.
of if any surface-based instability is going to be very meager at this point. But even just the meager instability, given the right circumstances, you can get a quick tornado in that type of environment. So again, I think it's looking to the west. That's what it looked like from the cloud base.
That direction, that maybe, no.
The rain makes me think it's looking east.
It is looking east. That's looking back into town. That needs to be looking back more southwest or west.
Yeah, and they're turning around on that point. So just torrential rain coming down. Yeah, you're not going to be able to see anything.
Yeah, you're not going to see
there.
landmarks or anything because you're looking back into rural areas there, and you're looking back across I-65 and such. Yeah, you're not going to be able to see much. Those were just low-hanging clouds there out ahead of the storm. So, yeah, that's the situation. That does show the environment. It's capable, but it's at the marginal edge of capable, and that kind of bears fruit with the radar signature going away on the lower level radar and that type of thing too.
Yeah, and I'm looking at high top next rad again, and there's really not really the way that I see it from a radar perspective. I think this is an elevated storm at this point. I'm not seeing anything that's like sharp in regards to wind moving through. It all looks pretty subtle.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything other than just, basically a heavy thunderstorm at this point.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go back to radar here. They have mentioned that they've really lost the tornado signature on radar. It was based on the UAH radar. So they are losing the signature, and they will be letting the tornado warning expire here. So we're about to get that off the board. And then everything, I know there are severe thunderstorm warnings in place. I'm really questioning why I don't see anything that supports a severe thunderstorm warning in Franklin and Colbert counties but that polygon.
I think their focus has just been so far to the northwest that they're just, at this point, letting it ride. I think it expires at 3:30. 4:15.
No, that was a more recent reissuance.
Oh.
That was when it sounded like Armageddon with the beeps in here. That was one of them.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
But I haven't seen any evidence of anything to support it. Now, I'm not criticizing because there's just so much going on. It's just,
there was, and it just completely fell apart.
All right, it fell apart in that rain mass. So,
yeah.
And the next one upstream that's along US 45 there from Boonville south to Tupelo, that's including western Tishomingo County, that severe thunderstorm warning, that may end up doing the same thing. It's going to be riding in the rain-cooled air as well. So we're about to lose this tornado warning. And then the other severe thunderstorm warnings that were issued, the structure is stepping back. And then the earlier severe thunderstorm warning, the storm that was moving through Marshall County, that's out of the county, and there are no other new severe thunderstorm warnings back in southern middle Tennessee. It's more of a heavy rain flooding situation. So tornado warning is about to expire here in a few more minutes. Let me see.
And I'm seriously not
It's
seeing
off the board.
else.
They just removed it. So tornado warning is no longer in effect for Limestone County. So we do have these situations where we have this old lingering severe thunderstorm warning here that technically goes until 3:45. That goes as far back west as Lauderdale and Colbert and Lawrence and Limestone. I'm not seeing anything there. That's an older warning that's just been letting ride. The same thing with this warning in Franklin and southern Colbert counties. It's a warning that storm has fallen apart, and they're probably trying to play catch up because of all the flood polygons, severe polygons, and they just got the tornado polygon off the board. Out of all these, if there's one that's going to misbehave, it might be the Tishomingo County warning. So we'll go back and look at it. I don't necessarily think for a tornado situation, but maybe having a better chance of gusty straight line winds. So we'll zoom in specifically in that area and look and see what we have here.
I'm not even really seeing anything on velocity data from GWX.
Now the one thing is, though, if there is gusty winds with that little reflectivity structure, they'd be perpendicular to the radar beam.
Yes, they would be. The one thing that I'm looking, though, is this one right here.
Yeah.
So at this point, you should still get a little bit of something, and you do to an extent on storm relative. It's not extremely strong. But yes, that's a good point that at that point, your radar beam, you're not getting really a towards and away signal. You're getting more of a side to side, and it's going to be harder to see. So yeah, there's probably some gusty winds with that one. But
I would say with the rain cool air, probably more like 40 to 50.
Yeah, I don't really think there's, even with that orientation of that Boeing structure, you should be able to see something on velocity, and you're really not seeing a whole lot there. And there's really not a whole lot on that line to begin with. There's no severe thunderstorm warning for it. The only severe thunderstorm warning is that northern part because of that little Boeing area. But
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So with that being the situation, let's hit the watch warning map and do a reset. And then I think we're going to take a break here with no current tornado warnings. That's about to be off the board. National Weather Service has let that go here. So you officially see the polygon. It's expiring. That's no longer there. That tornado warning up in Bedford County, Tennessee and such, that's out of the viewing area moving away. That severe thunderstorm warning in Marshall County, that's already moved out of Marshall County, moving away. These severe thunderstorm warnings back here in northwest Alabama from Franklin County through Colbert, through Lawrence, through Limestone, through Lauderdale, those storms have all weakened. That's lingering warning polygons. And then that severe thunderstorm warning back in Tishomingo County for the storm in Prentice, it looks like it may be producing some 40-plus mile-per-hour winds. It's going to be increasingly harder to get severe winds to the surface as it runs into this rain-cool air mass. What is the short-term threat here immediately? All the flash flood warnings you see, the polygons for Murray County, Tennessee, Marshall County, Tennessee, Lawrence County, Tennessee, Giles County, Tennessee, Lauderdale County, Alabama, Colbert County, Alabama, Franklin County, Alabama, Tishomingo County, Mississippi in the viewing area, these various flash flooding polygons. So if you're traveling, please do not drive into floodwaters. Turn around, find an alternate route because the flooding threat is increasing. There's still a PDS tornado watch over North Alabama, however, till 8 p.m. There's still a PDS tornado watch over North Mississippi till 6 p.m. There's still a tornado watch from US 43 East in Middle Tennessee until 9 p.m. That includes Murray, Lawrence, Giles, and Marshall counties in our viewing area. I can give you some good news, however. Lewis County, Tennessee, Wayne County, Tennessee, you have been removed from the tornado watch as the atmosphere is worked over and the line of thunderstorms has moved off to your east. If that trend continues, I could see Murray County being removed from the watch, Lawrence County being removed from the watch, and maybe even Giles and Marshall over the next hour or so, possibly, not a guarantee, possibly being removed from the tornado watch if these Alabama storms don't try to creep in. So we're losing the tornado warning. And the severe thunderstorm warnings, they're legacy warnings that storms have fallen apart. So we're getting to a situation where, despite legacy warning polygons still officially in place, we don't have any active severe storms on the board. It's tornado watch still, and we'll watch things carefully. We're close to 3:30 now, so the next scheduled live update will be at 4 o'clock. Should a new warning be issued, we'll be back sooner if needed. And if any county in the viewing area has issued a tornado warning, we'll be live nonstop until the danger is over. For Ben Luna, Taylor Plott, Kelly Rawson, Chase Wilson, Sam Kemp, and that fly I saw buzzing across the corner of the room a minute ago. I'm Fred Gossage, live from the Tennessee Valley Weather Center. As always, stay with Tennessee Valley Weather. We'll keep you advised.
You're watching the Tennessee Valley Weather Channel.